Some days are rough, some days are tough.
Ten seconds to live.
Hello, welcome to the Indigo at the O2. Fight week has well and truly begun. Today it's all about the media workouts ahead of Saturday night's heavyweight showdown between Anthony Joshua and Oleksandr Usyk. Johnny Nelson is alongside us. Johnny, the fun and games have well and truly begun.
It's nice to be back. It's nice to be back in the mix. I can remember so many weigh-ins and media events in this same building. I think for Anthony Joshua and Oleksandr Usyk, this fight is a lot higher stakes than anybody could ever imagine. The general public will just think Anthony Joshua is getting in with a former cruiserweight champion. As far as I'm concerned, this is his toughest fight since being champion, his toughest fight since being a heavyweight, because Usyk is pedigree second to none. He was. I used to think he was the heir apparent when he was unified cruiserweight champion. Now he stepped to heavyweight. He's not really made. He's probably underwhelmed. But now is his time to get him with the right opponent, the right time, the right size.
Well, you yourself made the jump from cruiser to heavyweight. I won't ask you which title you won. Which one was it?
A few potato ones, but it doesn't matter. That's by the by.
Just how difficult is it to make that jump, and tactically, what will he have to change?
So usually for a cruiserweight, I saw the weight 3 times a year when I box, and that was it. The rest of the time, I'm fighting around 15.5 stone. I'm training around 15.5 stone. That's what I'm used to doing. That's what Usyk will be doing. He's used to working at 15.5 stone around that. Then he cut down and get down to the weight itself. Now he's just not had to cut down. So the problem's going to be is if he's put weight on to compensate. And then in doing that, he's going to lose what actually works good for him. His movement, that southpaw unorthodox style, that speed, that chance to try and tease the shots out of Anthony Joshua. He's going to lose that if he tries to put the weight on to match a man that's naturally a heavyweight.
But do you think that actually is going to be an issue for him?
Well, looking at him, he looks like he's put on a little bit, but I think he's too smart a cookie for that. I think he knows exactly what he's got to do. Don't be surprised if AJ is ahead on points the first half of the fight, and Usyk starts to get desperate in the second half of the fight, thinking, my hustling tactics haven't worked, because his job is to try and tease the shots out of Anthony Joshua, make him work twice as much as what he normally would do in a fight. So this is a guy, a cruiserweight that's stepping up, that's used to throwing more punch output to get Anthony Joshua to gas himself out, hopefully.
Talking of size, I mean, if you look at Anthony Joshua, we'll see him later on.
Oh, he looks brilliant.
He looks notably far more streamlined.
So when speaking to him, he knows that he's got to be able to be on his toes for 12 rounds. So usually when we see him fight between rounds 4 and probably round 7, he gets a bit flat, gets a bit bloated. Now he knows he's in against a guy that's going to be constantly putting him under pressure. He doesn't want to try and match Usyk. He needs to be able to hold his own, be able to be on his toes and box like he did in the second fight against Andy Ruiz, but box more effectively, offensively rather than defensively, because he's got to make Usyk think there's something there to stop him that's going to hurt him. But he's got to be able to do that and keep on his toes. Looking at him, he proper looks like a sprinter, but he looks ready to that he can let the shots go as well as stay on his toes.
Well, you've been spending a bit of time with him. How did he seem to you? What's he been doing differently?
Very confident. Usually when he's stayed up in Sheffield, I know he'd go home at weekends. He hasn't. He's lived the life, and he's just locked himself down for it, kept his team around him. I know he knows, I know Rob McCracken knows, I know his whole team know this is his attitude test. And you'll have your Tyson Furies, you'll have your Wilders that may try and publicly mock. But if you know boxing, you know this is a tough fight. You know he does this one, he's ticked every box going, because he's boxed somebody that has the pedigree and that can do the job. He's just not proved and shown the world he can do that yet at heavyweight in Usyk. So Usyk's got to try and make an impact.
A lot of people are saying that Anthony Joshua's never faced anyone like Usyk, but Usyk has never faced anyone like Anthony Joshua.
No, he hasn't. He's faced big guys that can punch. He's faced big guys that are sure of themselves. So when he was sparring with Vladimir Klitschko, he gave him kittens. I saw with my own eyes, he was all over Klitschko, moving that movement, and he had that power to make a difference. So Klitschko got him out after 2 rounds. So he's used to sparring with the bigger guys. For Anthony Joshua, somebody that's, I wouldn't say awkward, I'd say unorthodox, like Oleksandr Usyk. He's hard to figure out unless you know what the game is. I'm from a gym of unorthodox fighters. The only message I had for Anthony Joshua is, do not let him hustle you. Keep on him, keep to your game plan, stick to what you've got to do. Don't make him make you do things you don't naturally do. And in doing that, then he'll get success.
Because in Anthony Joshua, the fact that he's never faced anyone like Usyk, when we spoke to Tony Bellew a while ago, do you remember him talking about the mental pressure that Usyk applies on you and how draining that can be?
Yeah, I get that, but you've got to remember, before Bellew boxed Usyk, he was a massive fan of his. He was in awe of this guy, thinking, you know what, I mean, with one of the best fighters. You could see the press conference, how he talked about it. So when he got in there, Tony Bellew gave it his all. And remember, up to the stoppage, Tony was ahead on points. But what Usyk did was, he made him work at a pace he didn't want to. He had him panicking. So when he got to about 6-7 rounds, Tony was gassed out. And Usyk had actually not stepped out of third-second gear. And then when he stepped it up, Tony was gassed out, and then he put the pressure on him. He can't do that with Anthony Joshua. He's bigger, he's stronger, more confident, and believes, you know what, you don't understand, I know I can beat him. Whereas Tony Bellew hoped he could beat him because this guy, Tony Bellew, thought he's top dog. So it's about mentality as well.
How do you think he'll deal with that, though?
I think Anthony Joshua, it's about mentally, he's got to believe in himself. Mentally, he's got to understand, he's got to concentrate, not get tired, not get bored, not mentally drift off. The fight game, that 3 minutes of every round, is the least time you should be doing that. I tell fighters, you know what, when you've got a fight coming up, don't be running with the music in your ears, because you've got to train your mind as well as you train your body. And with Anthony Joshua, hopefully he spent that time in preparation for this, training that as well as that.
Looking forward to seeing what he looks like later, aren't you?
Oh, I am. He'll look so good.
All right, well, the media workout is just about to get underway, so let's hand you over to David Diamante.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon and welcome to the O2 Arena here for the media workout for our massive night of fights that we have taking place here on Saturday night. It is for the Unified Heavyweight Championship of the World, Anthony Joshua against Oleksandr Usyk. We have a great night of fights, so we're going to go ahead and start the media workout. All the action is brought to you courtesy of Mr. Eddie Hearn of Matchroom Boxing, and televised here in the UK on Sky Sports Box Office and around the world live on DAZN. This first bout is also in association with Usyk 17 Promotions, and it's for the vacant WBA middleweight Intercontinental Middleweight Championship. And now coming up to the ring for his open workout, undefeated as a professional, fighting out of Chicago, Illinois. Please welcome Chris Middley Owsley. For this training, Manny Robles.
Johnny's just...
What I usually see with fighters, especially when they come from overseas, the British crowd are so different. They're not like anybody in the world. So right now, this is where you've got to find your own comfort spot. It's when it comes to fight night, and even if the crowd aren't there for you, the enormity of it, the noise.
That enormity of the noise, and also you're on a huge card. You're on an Anthony Joshua card.
And it's a big deal. You've got to try and not think like a fan. You've got to get in there and think like a fighter. You've got to think, right, this is the job I've got to do. But it's so hard to not get excited. I remember boxing on the undercard of Oscar De La Hoya against Felix Trinidad in Mandalay Bay. And was it that fight? I can't remember. But it was something like Oscar De La Hoya. Yes, he lost. And it was such a big deal. I couldn't believe it. I was fighting when they got me in. Thank God they had me in early, because I was just so excited and taken aback by how big it was. And so for these guys coming and boxing on a card like Anthony Joshua, they've got to try and separate themselves and think, right, I'm a fighter, I'm not a fan, I'm a fighter, not a fan. Get the job out of the way and then enjoy the night.
That's hard though, right?
It's very hard, because if you love our sport, then it's hard not to admire someone that's achieved such greatness. And listen, I remember when Wilder came up and saw Joshua boxing, and he couldn't believe the crowd. So no matter how big a fight you think you are, when you see something like that, the British crowd are unbelievably noisy, passionate, and they can boost almost any fighter. As he's 30 years old, from Chicago, 13 fights, 12 wins, 9 knockouts. So he knows what pressure he's on.
Yeah, it's a step up for him.
Yeah, it is. But, you know, you need these things. You need these kind of challenges to give you a bit of hunger. Some fighters are happy just mulling around at a certain level. If you want to be a champion, you've got to take these risks and you've got to step it up a little bit.
I'll take this opportunity to say hello to everyone that's joining us on the stream this evening, on the website, Facebook, YouTube. Really good to have your company this evening. We would love you to get in touch, keep your questions coming in. I'm going to fire some at you, Johnny. Sean Young has said, do you expect a fast start from AJ? Last thing you want with Usyk is to be a few rounds down early. Very true.
I expect AJ to be ahead on points when it comes to, by the time we get to the 6th round. I expect Usyk to realise the pressure he tries to put him under, to try and make him work more than he would do, to worry a little bit and think, right, I've got to do something like this. I think the fight starts coming to light round 6 onwards.
It's going to be interesting, isn't it? Rob Smith. Hope that's not Robert Smith from the Balls and Boom Control getting in touch. He said, if Joshua wins, do you think he can be finally regarded as one of the pound-for-pound stars and get the credit he deserves for his boxing ability?
Unfortunately, I don't think the general public realise how big a deal this is with Oleksandr Usyk. I don't think they realise how much... And fighters are in those positions where they fight fighters and the people don't know how much of a good win it is. This is his best win as a professional fighter, I'm telling you. You've got a live opponent that's confident, expects to win. He's not getting in with Anthony Joshua and thinking, and he's talking the talk and he's trying to mouth off. This guy expects to win. He's going to try and back up his balls. He's been in with the best, as in Klitschko, sparring with him, working with him. So he expects to do a job.
It was an interesting point that I read in an interview, or saw an interview with Tyson Fury made, that yes, AJ has been in the ring with the likes of Klitschko, the likes of Pulev, two incredible heavyweights of our time. Klitschko, though, 42 years old when he faced him. Pulev, 40 years old. In Oleksandr Usyk, he's very much in his prime.
Yes, especially as a heavyweight. Now, it's not taking anything away from those victories. It's not taking anything away from those victories that AJ had on, because there were great victories at that stage in his career. And he's boxed everybody that's put in front of him. You've got to think of all the world champions that he has beaten. So timing is everything. It's not his fault. Like, he's his age and they're their age. Now he's in with somebody. I think that's great preparation for this fight. All those fights he's had, that's great preparation for this.
This is a question from H, a very big question. Do you think Usyk will retire from heavyweight if he loses?
No, I don't. I think Usyk, if he loses, he will. His excuse will be, you know what, I've just stepped into the heavyweight division, you know, give it time. He looks a strong-minded individual. Why would he retire at heavyweight? Yeah, is it Super Cruise? I can't remember what they call it now, but I think he'll want the big prize, the heavyweight prize. So, no, I don't think he will. I think he'll stay at.
Usyk, he's waited a long time for this fight, hasn't he, with Anthony Joshua?
The other downside is Usyk's in the club of who needs him. And so if most fighters, if they can avoid fighting him, they will do. If he gets knocked out, more fighters will get a little brave and think, oh, I'll have a piece of Usyk. So right now, this is a fight Anthony Joshua has to have. This is his mandatory challenge, defence, the WBO, so he has to do it. This isn't a given. This isn't someone he's picked. It's a fight he has to have, and that's the only way I would believe Usyk this would happen, with him being in a mandatory position.
All right. Okay, Boxing News says, will the Fury fight be made next? I mean, that's just a question, isn't it? I mean, we could talk for hours about that one. Or will AJ have one more fight before the massive fight? What do you think? I mean...
I think both fighters are in with somebody they've got to get out of the way. Usyk for AJ, Wilder for Fury. Then it's show business, and unfortunately I keep saying it's always the business that messes up the show. And I think with both fighters almost fighting and then one fighter being left down the other not, I think the trust has gone. I think the trust to make the match and to believe in each other has gone. So do I expect it to happen next? No. Would I like it to happen next? Yes, I would.
We'd all love it to happen next. I mean, we've been talking about it for how long? Do you think it's still, I don't know, with AJ, let's for example, in New York, it was hanging over his head, wasn't it? Was it going to happen with one? Lots of questions. Was that a factor in the Ruiz loss? We don't know. We don't know what happened really there. Do you think this is still on AJ's mind, the Fury fight, or do you think he is just tunnel vision? Usyk knows exactly what he's got to do.
So if you look at all the build-up into the fight that didn't happen, the only person that didn't talk was Anthony Joshua. You heard something from everybody else, bar Anthony Joshua. I think he's at the stage now where he will get criticised for a win, he'll get criticised for a loss, he'll get criticised for the level opponent, whatever. So he thinks, let me just deal with who's in front of me. you look back and all the footage you can possibly find, and the only person that really didn't say anything was AJ. So would it be bothering him? No. He'd hope it never happened, but he'll just take one fight at a time.
Do you think we'll ever know?
I think when he does his autobiography, we'll know. We'll find out a lot, but for now, he's not going to tell. He's too humble for that. You look at the Ruiz fight, you know, there's many rumours that were flying around the background, what happened, why he lost, but he's never said a word. He said a better man won.
Do you think he's fully got his confidence back, Anthony Joshua, since that Ruiz loss?
Yes, and I think one fight changes everything, and I think the Ruiz fight was a fight that probably, it was a wake-up call. I suppose it's like being on a horse and falling off, and once you've done it once, you realise it didn't hurt that bad. So, yeah, he's at that point where he's had the wisdom, and so now he's had the experience, now he's got the wisdom.
It's going to be quite the night, isn't it, on Saturday night? Tottenham Stadium. You've been there, haven't you? You've had a look around.
Yes, and Tottenham is unbelievable. I'm not a mad football fan, but I was like,
ladies and gentlemen, undefeated middleweight Chris Owsley. Put your hands together out there. I don't care if you're I don't care if you're working.
Great atmosphere.
Let's hear it out there for these fighters. Let's make a little noise out here. Thank you very much.
It's like a massive York call. I know it's a bit stupid, but it's
a massive York call and then some, isn't it?
Doing a selfie, you got to do it. Big fight week. And he's now going to go talk to Chris and Darren over here.
Everywhere is a good scene. Everywhere's a good scene. It just seems really close and tight. Great setup, great call, and for Tottenham, that area, it's brilliant for that area because there's so many people from the area that involved somehow, either working on the stalls, working on the door, working inside the ground itself. So it's lifted the area, the community. So if you're going to pick anywhere to do it,
ladies and gentlemen, our next fighter is now making his way to the ring. He's a young Mancunian. He's the son of a legend. His young professional record thus far undefeated, 3-0. Please welcome to the stage. He's fighting in a lightweight affair on Saturday night from Manchester.
I know. I'm quite looking forward to turning to you guys again. I can't even be saying.
But that's what boxing is, you know. It's so unpredictable. You know, the guy you think's going to win in corner A is going to get knocked out by corner B, and so that's what makes our fight game so exciting and so attractive.
Well, we're going to have a look at the man behind us in the ring, Campbell Hatton. A big night for Campbell Hatton. He seems well versed, though, to being on these big pay-per-view cards.
Yeah, you know what? He's seen his blood. He's seen his dad. He's seen his dad come through the ranks, and so he's get a lot of advice from his dad. Yes, Matthew, his uncle, is training him. I think he boxes more like Matthew did rather than his dad did. He's fortunate enough to have the name. Yes, he's going to get. People are going to be looking, thinking, well, you know what? It's just because he's Ricky Hatton's son. But Conor Ben got that. Chris Eubank got that. So let's give this kid a chance to grow, develop. Let's criticise him when he gets in there and starts getting up the ranks. He wants to fight.
How do you think he's dealing with the pressure, though? Because it's not just the pressure about the family name. He's also learning on the job on these huge stages.
Well, like it or not, he's born with a silver spoon in his mouth. So he has expectations, and he's probably at a stage where there's not many times where if he wants to do something or try something, he's going to do it. So right now he thinks I can be like my dad. And if you're born like that and you're thinking I can get anything I want, then hopefully he's got the right attitude. So yeah, he knows there's going to be pressure, and his dad will be there to help him out.
You can go off now. You can go and get a sandwich.
See ya.
Off goes Johnny. You can't go more than 10 minutes. We need to feed him regularly. Matthew Macklin joins me. Matt, we're just talking with Johnny there about the pressure of the Hatton name and featuring on some of the biggest pay-per-view cards as well, and where he is on the card. Is that a good thing in your eyes?
I mean, like anything, there's positives and negatives. He's getting fantastic exposure. With that does come pressure. Maybe a little bit of envy as well for some of the younger boxers who maybe feel they're more deserving of that slot. But look, it is what it is. You know, the same was said about Chavez Jr. And you know, he had a really slow-burning apprenticeship early doors. He didn't look like he was going to amount to that much, but actually ended up turning into a pretty good fighter. Chavez Jr. did. So, you know, we'll have to. It's very early days for Campbell. He's quite raw. He doesn't have a lot of amateur experience. Big expectations on his shoulders, and he is kind of, like I say, the positive and negative. It's great that he's getting the exposure. With it comes pressure. So I think the public have just got to be a little bit patient with him and not have expectations too big. Let's just enjoy the journey with him and let's see how he progresses. Let's judge him 2 years from now.
Has he been moved at the right pace?
Yeah, I think they're picking the right fights. He's very much a novice. He's learning on the job, and there's no point throwing him into too tough of an assignment at this stage in his career. He's only 20 years old, and I think it really is
for
baby
him.
steps.
It's just getting the rounds under his belt.
Baby steps, absolute baby steps, rounds under the belt, and just let him build his confidence, and he'll relax and grow into his own, find his style, find out what his what his strengths are, what his weaknesses are. He won't even know what they are yet.
How long does that take?
Everyone's different. How long's a piece of string? Exactly. Look, if someone's had 300 amateur fights, then we can suddenly that's a different conversation, isn't it? But someone who's like a raw novice, really, learning on the job, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But look, I think we've seen improvements. I mean, he's only had 3 fights. Each fight I've certainly seen little improvements. Like I say, baby steps, but he's moving in the right direction for sure.
So what would you like to see from him on Saturday night?
No, just more of the same, just to see him settle down a bit. I think first couple of fights he was trying a bit too hard. Like I say, there's that pressure. And as much as he'll be trying to remain cool and say he's taking in his stride, he will be feeling that pressure. And I think he was trying a little bit too hard to impress. So I think just settle down, get your jab going, and just swarm into the fights.
He seems to be all right with the nerves. It seems to be Ricky, his dad, that seems to get more nervous on the nights than him.
Yeah, well, Ricky's powerless, isn't he, to do anything about it. So he's sitting there. Probably he can see everything what he should be doing. He's willing him on. His heart's in his mouth. And yeah, it's terrible watching someone that you. It's hard enough watching a gym mate box, let alone somebody that you love, a brother or a son.
He looks pretty sharp.
He does, yeah. No, he does. Like I say, he's. I mean, it's repetitive, but he really is a work in progress. Like you can't say that enough, really, because that's exactly what he is, and it is. It's very minimal improvements at this stage, but as long as it's moving in the right direction, that's what you want to see.
Do you think when you're on the big cards, you're on these pay-per-view cards, there is a pressure to produce a statement?
There can be, but I don't think that should be how. I'd be hoping that isn't put on him. He's very much like you're. This is baby steps. You're just getting a little bit better each time. You're learning. You're growing into it. You didn't have a long amateur career like a lot of fighters that are on these cards do have. Yeah, you're on it because of who your dad is. So we're just taking our time. We're not trying to rush it. Yeah,
but that means the magnifying glass is even bigger on your performance.
Yeah, it is. But that's why his team have to make sure that they don't get ahead of themselves and make sure that they keep him grounded.
Would you have wanted that?
Listen, I don't know. I mean, yeah, look, who knows? I don't know. Yeah, again, without being overly repetitive, it's positives and negatives, isn't it? We've seen with Conor Benn, a lot of people, he was getting the slots and people were saying, trying to make comparisons. But actually now Conor Benn's really grown into a really good fighter. And, who's to say that the same won't happen with Campbell?
He always uses his dad's name, doesn't it? Despite it, he goes, I get up in the morning, I have my heater seats, but I do all the training, I do all the hard work despite who I am.
Yeah, I think he uses that to motivate himself. He knows the comparisons there. He knows people are going to judge him by his old man. And I think he uses that as almost like a defiance.
It's a late change of opponent for Campbell. Sonny Martinez comes in for him on Saturday night. All part and parcel of the game, though, isn't it?
Yeah, no one's expecting any slip-ups here with Campbell Hatton. He's very, like I say, he's a raw novice, really, and he's just getting a little bit better each time. He's getting a bit more calm and relaxed each time, and this is a long-term project. This isn't no one's expecting Campbell Hatton to be fighting for a world title anytime soon. Do you know what I mean? This is a young kid, 20 years old, very limited amateur experience. This is a long-term.
Did you enjoy these sort of public media workouts?
Do I enjoy them?
Yeah. What do we learn, do you think?
I don't think you learn loads, really, because everyone's just having a little bit. Look, I'm just looking at Hatton hitting the pads there, and already I can see that he's improved. But, this is someone... I'd expect big improvements from Campbell. Like I say, baby steps, but I think over the next 2 years, we're going to see a completely different fighter. Someone like Usyk and Joshua now, I don't think they'll show too much. They'll hit the pads, they'll flash out. It's a media thing, isn't it? They're just building the fight, help promote it.
Do you think Usyk will be playing the mind games?
He's a character, isn't he? So who knows what he'll do? If they can plant a seed of doubt, or if they can offset by pretending to do something that they're not really going to do. You know, you wouldn't know what kind of fun and games are going to be happening. In vision.
Hopefully going to grab a word with Campbell. He's just going to come over. Here he comes. Campbell walking down the catwalk. How are you doing? Fight number 4 for you on the big stage. First 6 rounder. How are you feeling?
Yeah, just dead excited. Just building all the time. Just staying busy, improving on every aspect of my game.
I was talking to Matt just a few moments ago. You seem to be appearing on these big cards. Does that add more pressure? Because you've already got the pressure of the family name.
It does, but I think after Gibraltar and with my debut, yeah, that was mad, and I just know it's not going to get any worse than that. So, just crack on.
Fair enough. Late change of opponent for you as well. Martinez coming in. What do you know about him?
Yeah, he looked like he's boxed like a bit heavier, so I'm expecting him to be pretty strong and hopefully come and have a go. I think like my past few opponents have all been quite negative, so it's hard to look good when they don't engage. So I'm hoping he comes and has it, and I think I'll look a lot better over 6 as well, where I'm not rushing over like 4. I boxed well for 2 rounds and think I'm running out of time, so I think this time I pace myself a bit more and like think about what I'm doing instead of just getting that bulldozing mentality about me.
Do you feel the pressure to really produce a statement on the big stage?
I say no, but I knew going into every fight I had not to force it, and if you go looking for the knockout it never comes, but like, it's just I just get a bit giddy, I think, but I think like I say over 6 I just think I'll know I'm not in a rush and I've got time, and I think that will make the difference.
The media workout
Go well on
continues
Saturday
here
night.
at
Best
the
of luck.
O2
Nice
Arena.
one. Cheers.
And our next contest, I have to tell you, I am so excited for it. It really could be one of the sleepers of the night. 10 rounds for the IBF International.
What he says there about trying to be too hard, like we said, you know, it gets a bit gung-ho. Some of the most experienced fighters in the world can make that mistake. We all know not to look for the knockout. It's the worst thing you can do, but you know, we're humans, and then we're an emotional fighter. It can happen. So, listen, he's a young kid. He's on an unbelievable stage.
What an experience!
Fantastic experience. And listen, he's going to get better and better. You know, he's going to, like he said, he said it can't get any worse than the last 2. You know, Gibraltar and his debut. So I think he's going to settle down. I think the 6 rounds will be better. I think when he's fighting guys who are trying to beat him, who are more competitive, not just trying to survive, he'll get more openings. So I think we're going to see him. We're definitely going to see improvements from Campbell.
So, Florian Marku has just stepped in the ring. Now, this is a fighter I am very excited about. We're just being moved from pillar to post, Matt. But just to say to you at home, we're on a very small space here, so we're just trying to squeeze into the corner.
So then they need to face me.
So I'll hold that.
So yeah, all eyes on Florian Marku.
Yeah, that's what you
Matt.
do.
Florian Marku, a man that is full of charisma, not shy of calling any fighter out, and he literally will fight anyone.
Yeah, he'll fight anyone, and also, he like I say, a good character. But even just sticking to his boxing for now, he's competent. You know, he switch hits, he can box on the back foot, he can get stuck in, he works the body, he's got nice head movement, and so far so good.
But he faces Maxim Prodan for the IBF International Welterweight title on Saturday night, and he goes into this full of confidence, really, off that Ryland Charlton win.
Yeah, I've been quite impressed with him. I didn't know what to expect. I heard there was this guy who sells loads of tickets and he's a real character. So, you know, had expectations. But he impressed me. A very natural switch here. I think as well he's got a nice jab. He doubles up on it. He works the body. He's not static upstairs. He moves his head. A lot to like.
It looks like a good fight on paper as well. A good match.
Yeah, I think it will. I think this could be this could go right down to the wire. You know, when you're fighting on this stage, on this platform, you know, you've got to be prepared to go into maybe not 50-50, but you've got to be in a competitive fight.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
He's a popular fighter, though.
Yeah, no,
It's good the fans are back on Saturday with him being a popular fighter, and a lot of Florian Marku support will be there on Saturday.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear what kind of noise, because all the fights we've done for Marco have always been under COVID restrictions, and there's been no crowd. So I'm looking forward to see what kind of fan base he has.
Absolutely jumping on Saturday night. Thank you for all your questions coming in. Keep sending them in to us. Hardcore Boxing wants to know, could a packed out crowd encourage Joshua to revert back to his old style, or has he gained enough experience at this point to remain focused?
I don't think that the crowd or the noise or anything like that will affect either guy. They're both consummate professionals. They're very, very experienced. And I think the crowd will give them both energy, but I don't think it'll help. I don't think it'll make either guy lose focus.
M12 says, what do you think of AJ's weight loss? Maybe it could drain him.
Look, you've got to get it right. Of course, if you lose too much weight, you don't want to lose strength or power. But at the same time, if you're carrying excess weight, that can slow you down, and also more oxygen more muscle requires more oxygen. So I think everyone's got an optimum fighting weight, and I think that Anthony Joshua has probably found his now in the last two fights.
Fine, yeah, definitely. Billy Bly, what a great name, says, will Usyk weight gain go against him in later rounds? Talks about that with Johnny, actually.
Similar thing, if he's too heavy, he'll be sluggish, and it'll affect his mobility, which is going to be absolutely key for him in this fight. So, I mean, we'll have to wait and see at the weigh-in, but I don't expect Usyk to come in much heavier than he has in his last couple of fights.
Cy Jones, how much do you think Usyk has studied the win by Ruiz and is going to try and implement the same tactics?
No,
will he?
No, I don't think so. He's a completely different fight. I mean, they couldn't
it's
be
chalk
more
and cheese,
different.
really, with those
Literally,
two, isn't it?
Polar opposites. So I don't think we're going to see. No, absolutely not to that question. Basically.
Biff that one out of the way. Lex Hazuki says, how many heavyweight pro fights has Usyk had? Well, this is his third
one,
yeah. Is it too soon for him at this weight to be facing AJ? Well, he is mandatory, so he doesn't really have a choice.
No, he's mandatory, and look, for him, he's a world-class fighter, an elite, one of the best pound-for-pound fighters in the world, undisputed cruiserweight champion. So the next logical step for him was to step up to heavyweight. He had the one against Chaz Witherspoon. Looked okay, not amazing in that fight, but it was his first one at heavyweight. Then he fought Chisora in a real heavyweight fight. Chisora put him under a lot of pressure. I mean, he really cut the ring down, really, really put it on him. And, Usyk came through that. So I think he's, really he's only going to have another fight like that with Chisora. So, which is miles on the clock. It's another tough fight. He's mandatory challenger. I think he's done the right thing going into this fight now.
Anthony Joshua, though, is a very different fighter to Chisora.
He's a different fighter, but I mean, I don't think Usyk can be any more prepared by having another fight. Let's say the likes of another Chisora fight. I think he's as prepared as he's ever going to be for the Anthony Joshua fight. So now, for him, it's all about getting his game plan right, his tactics right, and then going out there and executing it.
We had a good chat, didn't we, before we came on to do this stream about what do we think is going to happen. We were throwing all sorts of possibilities out there. What do you think is going to happen? I mean, will Usyk play the patient game, do you think? Will it be a bit of a slow start from him? Or, just throwing it out there, could he come in and stick it on AJ? Really?
I would be shocked if he did, because he's never done that. That's not the way he goes about his business. I think he'll come out as he always does, but I think he'll be cagey, he'll be wary, because Joshua carries serious power, more power than anyone Usyk has ever faced by a stretch. So, but I think AJ might be cagey as well. He's been the last couple of fights, he's been very good at long range. He's been very technical. Everything's behind the jab. Everything's been set up with the feints as well. He hasn't been gung ho. So, he can always go gung-ho. That's plan B. I don't think Joshua will start that way. I think he'll...
It's a risky strategy if he did that.
Once you start in fifth gear, it's very hard to come off that, where you can always warm into it. So I think that he'll be patient. He'll look to take the centre of the ring. He'll want to get his jab, find his distance, try and get a read of Usyk as well, and build from there. I don't think he's going to start overly fast. I think he'll be assertive, but he definitely won't be reckless.
So intriguing, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. That's why we're here.
I wonder when the mind games are going to start from Usyk, what we're going to see this week. He seems pretty relaxed, doesn't he? Jovial, dancing.
Yeah, he does. I mean, he's a character, isn't he? And he doesn't seem like he takes himself too seriously. He enjoys the crack. But look, he'll definitely be trying to plant little seeds of doubt in Joshua's head, because it's, you know, it's a fight and it's fight week, so all the physical stuff is done, all the training's out the way now. So the only place you can get a bit of an upper hand this week, seeds it out, plant them.
And we'll be spotting it, won't we? We'll be having a look today and seeing what's going on.
Yeah, today will be less, I think, a case of that, but I think it'll be in the interviews, in the press conference. That's when I think the mind games will start.
Hopefully going to grab a word with Florian Marcoux. She's just finished in the ring. Such a character, Matt. Florian.
Yeah, completely. I mean, he's a great talker, isn't he? I hope we get a chat with him now, maybe.
Here he comes.
How are you guys?
Florian, good to see you. How are you feeling ahead of Saturday night? You're going to this full of confidence, I expect, off the back of that Ryan Sharton win.
Well, thanks God, I feel great. This is a dream. If I see my life 6 years before and where I'm fighting Saturday is a dream, you know, coming true. I am, of course, really confident. I have been training really hard for this moment, and this is my time. I will not let no one take it from me.
On paper, this has the ingredients to be an absolute cracker. You both like to stand and trade. What can we expect to see on Saturday?
I will knock him out inside 6 rounds. I will give my heart. No man alive can take this moment from me, you know. And I will show that at Saturday.
What we really like about you is you're not afraid to call people out. You're not backwards in coming forwards, as we should say.
Exactly.
Who are you looking for next?
People know, the UK fans know, you know, but Conor doesn't. He avoids people like me. I can hit hard. I need one punch and I knock people out. You know, and Conor choose fighters that can run and yes, but I don't care, you know, I have my own journey, my way to the top and to the world title. If Conor will be somewhere there to stop me, I will knock him out. Otherwise, if he doesn't, I don't care. I have my own journey.
That's down the line, but Saturday night we can expect fireworks, yeah?
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
Very much look forward to it.
And now making his way to the stage, here is the reigning, defending, undefeated IBF International Welterweight Champion, originally.
Not sure of confidence, is he, Florian Marcoux?
No, he definitely believes in himself, that's for sure.
Do you like that?
Oh, love it. You've got to have self-belief. This is some people are more outward with it, you know, they're more upfront with it. Some people have more quiet confidence, but he's a great character, great talker. Listen, we love a prediction, don't we?
Especially one like that we're going to get fireworks. That's exactly what we want to see, don't we?
Let's clap our hands out here, people. Let's wake up. Hello. Everybody, let's do it. Thank you.
David Diamante trying to wake the crowd up in here this evening.
Yeah.
Matt, I think you're going to get subbed in a minute. I think we've got
being transferred.
Spencer coming in, yeah.
Cool.
You don't need to duck, Spencer. Good to see you.
I didn't need to bend down either. Did you see that?
How good is this, Spencer?
Yeah, really good. You know what? I love Joshua Fight Weeks. There's something special, isn't it, about Joshua Fight Weeks? There's a real buzz in the air, and I think it's the unknowns going into this one. You know, Oleksandr Usyk, you know, such a formidable fighter as an amateur and a pro, cruiserweight, undisputed cruiserweight champion, moving up to heavyweight. Hasn't looked particularly good, but I wouldn't read into anything of that, if I'm totally honest, because he's the type of fighter that raises his game to the quality of the opponent. And I think that both these guys have known each other for a long time, winning Olympics 2012 together. They knew their collisions.
They won Olympic gold, didn't they?
They both won Olympic golds. And
both been top of their game.
Absolutely, and I think they knew their collisions were going to collide at some point. They've got the ultimate respect for each other, and it's a real interesting fight. I think Joshua's come in really he's going to come in really purely because he respects the speed and the mobility of Oleksandr Usyk, and you know, I think that it's that one for us is what can Usyk bring to the table? Is he going to be big enough to deal with someone like Joshua? But I think with Joshua coming in light shows the respect he's got for Usyk. He knows that he's in a real fight here.
As we just had a message on the stream saying with Joshua coming in light, Could that be dangerous for Joshua? Could that mean that he has potential to fade?
No, I think that Joshua coming in light, if you look through the history of Joshua, you know, when he's fought and when he's been light, Andy Ruiz too, when he come in really light, you know, I think that when he's got that mobility and that movement, that's when he's at his most dangerous. 17 stone, 17-2, that's where he needs to be. Anything over that, if we go back to, let's say, Carlos Takam, when he come in heavy and he loses that little edge in speed, and then that makes him very vulnerable. And I think because Oleksandr Usyk's got that extra speed and he's got that movement, he's great at wearing fighters down and making them work and forcing them to work and then picking on late. So I think, you know, Usyk will be looking to take this fight long and taking Joshua into the second half of the fight where, as you rightly say, Anna, you know, that's where Joshua is known to tire, and I think that's where Usyk will be wanting to take over. But yeah, no, I think that Joshua coming in light will only be a good thing because he'll be able to match Usyk for speed.
And if Usyk, as we know, will be coming in heavier than he has done before, will that be a good thing for him, or could that slow him down?
Well, this is the ifs, buts. This is the ifs, buts, and maybes that we need answering in this fight. I think this is all the unknowns. When you get a fight of this magnitude where we're going, everybody's like, everyone's got an opinion, but no one really knows. That's when we know we've got a special fight, and I think that's what it is, Anna. You know, you're talking to me about what if Usyk comes in heavy? Will that slow him down? We don't know that, you know, and will that play into Joshua's advantages? Will it play into Usyk's advantages? All these factors that we're talking about make this fight what it is now. You know, it is so exciting. My general feeling is I think that Joshua's going to go out there. He's going to be really explosive because I think that weight that he's going to come in at 17-2 will be to his advantage. And I think he may catch Usyk and catch him early. And if you stay caught with Anthony Joshua, then you're not getting through the rounds. But if Usyk can make it to round 6 and push on from there, then the fight becomes really tricky. So it's a fight of two halves, it really is.
And it's just how much of a mental game Usyk makes it, really, for Anthony Joshua.
Absolutely, and this fight week, you know, that we're like now, where all the physicalities are done, all that sort of work has been done, it now comes into, you know, the psychological battle and the mental approach. And Oleksandr Usyk, as we saw when he boxed Tony Bellew, he's great at getting inside a fighter's head. You know, we see him like sort of as Anthony Joshua or Tony Bellew at the time was getting interviewed, you know, Usyk's in the background.
But AJ's never really had that.
No, AJ's not had that, and this is how he's going to have to do that, because that's what we're going to get from Usyk. Now, I went to pick him up, or we went to interview him at Luton Airport yesterday, so we got him when he first arrived. He pulled up, he looked totally relaxed. Yes, he did look big, but he looked chiselled as well, Anna. He looked like he's filled into the weight, so he looked a good size. But what caught my attention was how relaxed he was and how focused he seemed, but seemed very relaxed and seemed in such a good place. So, yeah, I think this could be a tough night for Anthony Joshua. I really do. It's like as we're moving closer, it's something when the fight was first announced, I thought, you know what? I think Josh gets him out of there early and gets him done quick. But the closer we're getting, the more I'm starting to feel, you know, this is going to be a more difficult job than I originally imagined. I still think Joshua wins.
It's going to be one of those fight weeks, isn't it? That we're all sort of swaying from one way to the other.
Absolutely. And that's, again, when you get these great fights, that's what happens. You know, you're going one way, going the other. I was strong on Joshua. Picked up Usyk yesterday and I thought, I don't know, you know. But it's one of those ones. So, yeah, I think that today seeing them get in the ring is going to be a really big factor for all of us. I think that we're really interested to see how Joshua looks, see how mobile he is, and also to see
Do you think we'll learn much today?
I don't think we'll learn much today. I think that... actually, that's a lie. I think we'll learn... Here you go, I'm starting already, I'm gone already. Actually, I think we'll learn a lot from the shape of the guys.
Yeah.
We're not going to see anything physically, as in, like, you know, any of their sort of boxing tactics, any of their movements or anything. I think they're going to get in there, they're going to have a little walk around the ring, but I just want to see both of them with their tops off. I'm hoping we see both of them with their tops off just to see the size that they're in, the shape that they're in. Has Usyk put on the weight, but has he put it on in muscle
the right
mass?
places, yeah,
in muscle mass, or is he carrying a couple of little love handles down there? You know, these are the things that we need to see. But and how, you know, how lean does Joshua look?
Well, let's just talk a bit about Maxime Frodin that's in the ring at the moment. We've just spoken to Florian Marcoux, that is a game fighter, wants to fight him full of confidence off that Ryland Charlton win. This fight could be an absolute cracker.
Absolutely. Listen, I've known Florian Marku for a long time now. He used to train at my gym. Lovely guy, full of confidence, always wants the big fights. He's been pushing for the Conor Benn fight for some time now. But yeah, he's a guy that just oozes confidence, and he works hard, throws punches in bunches. He's an exciting fighter in this pro down. He's a good fighter himself, undefeated, loves to come forward as well. This could be fight of the night, by the way, because these are two guys that just
love to stand and trade,
love
don't
to
they?
have a tear up, and that's the top and bottom of it. They love to have a tear up. There's going to be fireworks, it really is. But both guys are really confident coming in here as well. But I think that for Marku, a good win here gives him a good world ranking, and he'll be looking to push on and go for those sort of fights. I know that as I said, I know he's chasing that Conor Benn fight, and this gets him one step further.
Is there a danger, though, for Florian Marku that he could be overconfident?
I think definitely, yeah. Listen, he doesn't. Yeah, this kid definitely doesn't lack confidence. He's supremely confident. It's a good thing to have, but as long as you don't take your eye off the ball.
Witnessing the reigning and defending undefeated IBF International welterweight champion, Saturday night defending.
We're saying that Florian Marku is a big ticket seller, and the fact that we've got a crowd of 60,000 in Tottenham Stadium. You've been there, haven't you?
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. Listen, I'm a Tottenham fan, so it's a mad story.
This is heaven for you, isn't it?
Huh?
This is going to be heaven for you.
Listen,
Tottenham fan, Saturday night.
Not only am I a Tottenham fan, but a guy, Giles Mulder, who built the stadium, I train him and I train his wife, so I've been to the stadium like 5 or 6 times. They always invite me there, have a great time when I go there, get up in the players' lounge, see all the players, the old players like Ozzy Ardiles. But the atmosphere you get in there, Anna, honestly, is like, I'm not a huge football fan, so I need something to excite me a little bit. But the way that the stadium is built creates this just like mad, like it's like a pit bull sort of
every
echo.
Seat's a good seat.
Every seat, you can't get a bad seat. Every seat. So luckily for every fan that's bought a seat in there, they're going to have just such a great seat in their house. And yeah, it's going to be something really special. Now we remember when Joshua boxed Klitschko at Wembley Stadium. What an amazing, what an amazing atmosphere that was. This will be equally as good.
He's a 2008
Lawrence Okolie there arriving here this evening. First events of his WBO title on Saturday night, big night for him. He will be looking, I'm sure, to make a statement.
Yeah, listen, I think this is a good opportunity for Lawrence to shine. I think he looks sensational when he won the title last time out. Since teaming up with Shane McGuigan, we've seen him that he's got the timing right. That was always missing with Lawrence. He's extremely, tall and long for a cruiserweight, but he was sort of always missing a target or falling a little bit short, but it all seems to have come together since he's met Lawrence, and he's in a game against a tough opponent here, but an opponent that's relatively unknown, not boxed at this sort of level. So Lawrence is going in a big favourite, but again, he's got to keep his eye on the job.
He's as cool as you like, though, isn't he, Lawrence Okolie? He's a cool customer.
This guy's boxing Castillo.
Then Castillo is boxing Callum Smith. Callum Smith moving up to light heavy for the first time. I mean, right decision, right time. Canelo mopped up, super middle. Right decision for Callum.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is a good fight for him as well, by the way. Castillo's, he's a game opponent. He's been in with the best and he's pushed them all the way. So it's a good stepping stone for Callum Smith. Do you know what I like about Callum Smith is that, yes, he got beat convincingly last time out against, pound for pound, Canelo, the pound for pound, the best fighter in the world. But he's come back at a different weight, and a lot of people have questioned his desire now in boxing, and does he still want it or whatever. He's the one that's taken himself off with Buddy McGirt, teamed up with Buddy McGirt. He's been over there for 6 weeks. He said that he's learnt new stuff, and he's coming in, he's looking to make a statement and become a 2-time world champion. So I think the answer to answer anybody's questions about, is Callum Smith, is his heart really still in the game? The answer is yes. You don't, he's financially secure. He's at that stage of his life where it's not about the money. He's got the money. It's now about becoming 2-weight world champion. And I think this is a great opportunity for Callum Smith to show that, actually, I think he'll be better. His frame, his size was incredible for a super middle. I never knew how he made that weight. I mean, he always said that he made it easy, but he must have struggled to make it. So I think he's going to make a real statement here at light heavyweight. I really do.
Right decision, Adam, for Callum to move up to light heavy. For about a year, he's been looking big at the weight at super middle.
I think so. I think he's been a light heavyweight in super middleweight clothing for quite a long time, actually. Obviously, he did wonderfully at 12 stone. winning the Super Series against George Groves, and he stayed on and had that dream shot at Canelo. And look, I think an unbeaten fighter going in with Canelo, he fancied it, and he did everything he could. Canelo's just an elite level, and but he got through it, and he made a lot of money, and now he moves up, and I think that's the right decision. I think that he'll be a force at 12 stone 7. I like the new sort of attitude from him. He's gone to Buddy McGirt. I know very well.
Which is a big change for him in his stage in his career.
It is. Joe did very well with Callum, and I think he took him a long way. But sometimes when there's a defeat or there's a slight change, or for him it's a defeat and it's a change in weight and a change in circumstance, because he's made a lot of money from the Super Series and from Canelo, so he probably had to look himself in the mirror and think, how much do I want to do this? And he's obviously got the fire back, and I think maybe that change and going with Buddy, who's a different sort of trainer. And
what will he add to his game, do you think?
Oh, Buddy's very, very experienced. He's obviously he's worked with his brother Paul, he's worked with our colleague Matt Macklin, he's worked with Paulie Malignaggi, many others. I've known Buddy for years. He was a wonderful fighter himself. He's an astute reader of the game, Buddy. He's tactically very, very clever. He works with fighters in different ways, and he's a boxing man through and through. So is Joe, but they're different. They're very different trainers, and I think maybe he just needed, something slightly new. As I say, he's going up a division. It's a big jump. In the naked eye, it's a big jump, Hannah, but actually he's always been a light heavyweight, or walked around as a big guy. So I think he'll move into this weight category very well.
What kind of test do you think, CEO? What will he provide for Callum?
I think it'll be probably the perfect test as a sort of entry into the world scene at light heavyweight. He couldn't sort of go backwards in a way, Callum. He's fought at elite level for a while now, and so I think, look, it's a tough fight in that it's not a gimme. As his sort of first fight at 12-7. I think
he's been 12 round with Dimitri Bivol.
Yes, he has. Dimitri Bivol couldn't stop him, but that's who Callum Smith's going to be looking at. He's going to be looking at Bivol and Batebiev and Joe Smith, and he's going to be thinking, look, I can become a two-weight champion of the world. And I think he's got the minerals, the tools and the class to be able to do that. I think he's got the work ethic, and I think if he's really got the hunger back, which I believe he has, and to see him go out with Buddy and just sort of change his scene, and it's no disrespect to Joe, who's a wonderful trainer and got a fantastic stable, but sometimes you need to get out and move abroad and just do something a bit different. We saw Matt do that a number of times in his career, and I think it gives a fighter a bit of a fresh start, and that's maybe what he needs at light heavyweight. I don't think it's going to be long before he's fighting for world titles, and I think this is going to be very interesting to see how his power comes up at 12 stone 7 and how he deals with a tough man like this.
Closer to home, though, light heavy is an absolutely buzzing division, isn't it? The likes of Boatsi, you've got Yard.
Yeah, domestically it's fantastic. Joshua Boatsi is an absolute star. Anthony Yard. You've got Callum Johnson. You've got it's a great light heavyweight scene domestically. So there's some matchups there for him. But I think Callum wants that world title. So it's a case of sort of who's going to be the Brit that gets to it first. We saw Craig Richards fight Dimitri Bivol, and he did really well. And I think a lot of people thought that Spider would be totally outclassed. He wasn't. It was a tough fight, and I think Craig kicked himself afterwards, but I think he believed in himself more and more as the fight went on, and I think he wanted it to go another 3 or 4 rounds. Unfortunately for Craig, it didn't. But I think with Bivol is a very good fighter. He's unbeaten, but I don't think Callum Smith will fear him in any way, shape, or form.
While I've got you here, Adam Smith, I'm going to throw some questions at you that are coming in from people. Keep them coming in to us, whether you're watching on YouTube, on Facebook, or on our website. Good to have your company this evening. Gareth Craddock says, has AJ trained wrong? Sure, he's lighter and won't gas as much, but has he lost his main advantage, which in his eyes was his size?
It's a very interesting question. I think Joshua, we got to look at the fact he's only fought one southpaw opponent through his career in Charles Martin. He did a round and a half with him. He fought Mihai Nista, a Romanian, in the amateurs, and Mihai Nista stopped him. So look,
here he is, Oleksandr Usyk, arriving here.
Oleksandr Usyk arrive, and this southpaw Usyk, we know he's so clever, he's so talented. There he is. And he's a maverick, and he'll be looking to wind AJ up as well. But it's very difficult, Anna, to get anyone to replicate him or Vasily Lomachenko as well, his stablemate. You know, they're sort of they're unique, aren't they? And they've got their own style. But it's a very good question, because AJ does have the power and he does have the size, but he's going to come in light, and he's going to come in having really trained hard for the southpaw style. I think Joshua sees it as a long fight. So is he taking away his advantage? Only time will tell, but I think he's got to be clever with Usyk as well.
This is a question for Johnny Nelson, but I feel like I need to ask you too to get your opinion, Adam Smith, on this one. I will ask Johnny as well. We said, can you ask Johnny if he would fight again on an undercard of a U2 boxing event?
Well, Johnny and I, you know, are very great friends, sort of away from the cameras. And I was in a situation with Johnny a few years ago when he had this bizarre aim to sort of take on Marco Huck, because Marco Huck had 13 defense of his world title, as did Johnny, and for 4 months he trained for it. And I kept telling him he was going to get knocked out because he was too old and his hips and his legs are gone. And
he's had those done.
Father time, I know. I don't want to see Johnny back in a ring. I think that it's. You know, look, we saw with Evander Holyfield the other night. You don't play at boxing. It's a very dangerous sport, and you know, I think with the YouTubers, like we've seen with KSI, Logan Paul, if it's at a level, if it's well matched, I think that we can see that. Jake Paul obviously is being, you know, well matched through his career. You know, I don't want to see Johnny in a ring with anybody that, you know, we saw David Haye the other day fight his friend, and it was a spar and whatever, and you know they got out, you know, sort of unscathed, but I don't want to see Johnny back in a ring personally. I don't know.
So in a nutshell, it's just a no, Adam.
It's a no from me.
It's a no from you. Cy Staples says, I'm an AJ fan, but I'd be more confident of him beating Fury than Usyk. Fury is awkward, clever, but Usyk is on another level. If one or both of AJ and Fury lose, will we see them fight each other ever?
Good question. Will we get AJ Fury? We were so close, weren't we? And it didn't happen. And now you've got two, you can call them semi-finals, but they're two very, very hard fights in themselves. You look at it and you think, who is more favoured to win? Is it Anthony? Is it Tyson? Both could lose. This is the beauty of heavyweight boxing. Oleksandr Usyk could easily win this fight on Saturday night. Deontay Wilder could knock out Tyson Fury in a couple of weeks' time, and the heavyweight world spins again. I think, you know, the likelihood is that Joshua is favourite and probably will find a way on Saturday. And Tyson Fury was so dominant in the second fight with Deontay Wilder that he'll probably win again. But you never know, and that's why we love it, because, yeah, stars make fights. And I've always worried about Usyk style-wise against Joshua. But then people say, well, he's not big enough at heavyweight and he hasn't shone enough at heavyweight against Chaz Witherspoon and Derek Chisora. He'll be ready for this. He's waited 10 years for this, Oleksandr Usyk. And he's got a hell of a chance on Saturday.
What do you think his game plan will be?
I think he'll look to outclass and outbox Anthony Joshua, but he's going to have to be very, very clever to do it in a 20-foot inside ring with Joshua's jab and power. That's the problem. That's the worry. If he gets into a rhythm, if he's mobile, he's a brilliant judge of distance, as we know from the Tony Bellew fight. He just puts pressure on you mentally as well, and Tony was doing well in that fight. It's very different to do it against a big, super heavyweight like Joshua. You know, there's weight divisions for a reason. You know, we know that Oleksandr Usyk was really a middleweight when he was a kid. He was a light heavyweight. Then he's made his name as a cruiserweight. He hasn't made his name as a heavyweight. And obviously Anthony Joshua has been a super heavyweight in the amateurs and a big, big heavyweight for a long time. So, you know, that could come into play. That could be the difference between them. But I think in terms of styles, you know, Usyk can give him a lot of problems.
Usyk is AJ's mandatory, but would you like to see them have maybe one, maybe two more fights before AJ?
That's another good question. I think
from Anna Woolhouse.
Very good, very good, very good. I think Usyk is an elite fighter. I think he's a premier fighter. He cleaned up at cruiserweight. You know, only Evander Holyfield, the great Evander Holyfield, and or Johnny Nelson, obviously with 13 defences, and maybe David Haye can say they were as good at cruiserweight. So Oleksandr Usyk, you know, would have been a match for anyone at cruiserweight. And the big question is, can he be a match for anyone at heavyweight? And, you know, the people you want to see him fight are Anthony Joshua, Tyson Fury, and Deontay Wilder, or you know, Dillian White maybe. But this is a big challenge for Usyk. So I think he's waited patiently. He's waited his time. I think he's obviously, you know, accepted that he's never going to be a big heavyweight. He's fought Chisora, who's sort of a strong, tough guy. So he's sort of felt that. People didn't think he looked great in it, but I thought he was a comfortable winner in that fight. Chaz Witherspoon was dipping his toes in. It was a late notice opponent. All ifs and buts. So does he need another fight? No. He's an elite fighter, and he believes he'll beat Anthony Joshua on Saturday night. And there's plenty of people in the Ukraine and plenty of people in boxing that think this is a bad fight for Joshua. So it's a chance he needs to take. Another thing, Anna, that people aren't looking at is that he loves the Lion's Den. Okay, he won the Olympic gold here, Usyk away from home, but he's also travelled a lot in the World Super Series, taking on unbeaten fighters in their home, town. And there's no bigger stage than Spurs on Saturday night for Oleksandr Usyk to spoil the party.
And he loves the big events, doesn't he?
He loves it. He's a character. He's an enigma. He's bright.
Do you think it's an act?
I think everything with him is calculated. I think that he'll look to ruffle the feathers of anyone in Team Joshua this week. I think he'll be a very, very it'd be very interesting to watch him, and he loves it, doesn't he? I remember when he was sitting in the bubble before the Chisora fight, and he had a steak in front of him. He just picked up a steak knife and he just drilled the steak, and he picked it up and he said, "This is Derek." He's just as different, isn't he? But he's bright and he knows what he's doing inside a ring, and he's very, very comfortable in any boxing ring, at any stage, at any level, at any location. And he'll be the same on Saturday night. Joshua's going to have to be at his very best to beat him.
And do you think there's any danger of him getting inside Anthony's head? You spent a bit of time, haven't you, with Joshua recently? You played a game of chess.
I have indeed, just watching Callum here go through the motions here. Callum Smith, who's looked up to Anthony a lot, obviously part of the Team GB setup. Didn't work out for him at the top level of the amateurs in the Olympics. That's why he turned pro. But yeah, AJ's still training up in Sheffield, which I think is fantastic. He feels at home there. Robert McCracken, the general, the leader of the team. He's added Joby Clayton to his ranks. Joby's a very interesting character. Works a lot on sort of relaxation and techniques and breathing and different styles, and Angel Fernandez as well, who's very clever tactically. And so they've got a really good setup in Sheffield. And yeah, he's taken up chess, and when I heard that, I had to give him a call, because I like a game of chess, Anna. And I went up and look, he's playing a lot, and he's good, and I think that's really important for him, because it's something different to boxing. but it's sharpening his mind. Everyone says
which
boxing
is, of course, what Usyk's very good at, but he's been doing it from day dot, hasn't he?
He has. But I think, for a lot of people look at boxing as tactical and very chess-like, and it's always thinking of what's the next move and how, ultimately you've got to win by any means necessary, whether it's a knockout, whether it's on points. And I think Anthony's taking this really seriously. I don't think he thinks he's going to go in there and blow away Oleksandr Usyk, and you never know at heavyweight, but I think he's trained for 12 to even 15 rounds against an elite fighter, and he's trained a lot on his legs. I think that's key for him. He'll come in like Joshua. He doesn't need to worry about the power. It will be there. He will have more power than Usyk in the ring. That's obvious. So I think he's trained very hard to be the best he can be, as loose as he can be, as languid, as live, to be able to deal with the puzzle that Usyk's going to set. And, will Usyk be able to set that puzzle, or will Joshua be able to get there first? Establish the jab, southpaw style. I mean, we're talking a lot about the different fights. Talk about Barrera and Hamed, all those years ago, and how, Marco Antonio Barrera worked that southpaw and boxed around Hamed. And we talked about recently Pacquiao and Ugas, and the fact Ugas kept it very simple, and Pacquiao not what he was, but there's a southpaw. And it's a very different battle against a Port Sider, and Joshua's not had a lot of experience in that. So that's going to be a really interesting part of it.
Looks like Callum Smith is enjoying himself in the ring there.
Do you know what?
He looks very relaxed, doesn't he?
Do you know what? Callum's a quiet guy, and you don't normally see him as happy and as smiley and as confident as this on a fight week. And do you know what that is? That's the fact that he's got that little bit of extra weight to play with. He's not got to boil down to 12 stone. There's Buddy, and I'm sure they'll make a really good new team, and he owes a lot to Joe Gallagher, but I think that Buddy McGirt, will he's got a lot of experience in global boxing, Buddy, and I think that's what Callum probably needed, just a new ingredient into there. He looks really happy, and I think that's a good sign. We always say it, the happy fighter is a dangerous fighter, and for me, Anna, I think Callum is going to relish this opportunity at light heavyweight. I really do.
He's spoken about it. He'd like to become a 2-weight world champion. Do you think that's a realistic goal for Callum?
I think it's a very sensible and serious goal for him. And I love the fact that he hasn't sort of chosen retirement. He could have walked away after the Canelo fight. You know, what has he got left to prove? He was a great super middleweight champion. He lost to a great fighter in Canelo. He's looked after his family, and you wouldn't begrudge him if he just thought, you know what, I'll call it a day. But these Smith brothers are fighting brothers, aren't they? And they can't ever quite sort of get away from that. They've been such an amazing success story.
They're part of boxing.
They're part of boxing,
Oh,
we love them. Paul, Stephen, Liam, all different characters. Liam got a big fight coming up as well, so they continue to go, and we love to be there. But I think Callum is going to be great at light heavyweight, I really do. It's great seeing you with a big smile on your face.
Good to see you, Callum. Let's grab a word with you. So your first fight at light heavyweight, the right move for you at the right time?
Yeah, most definitely. I feel good, I feel better. I think I was at super middle for a very long time, and for most of the part of it I was performing very well. I think towards the end my performances started to dip a little bit, and I think that was just my body telling me it was time to move up and try a new goal, a new chapter, new aims, and the aim to be a 2-weight world champion.
Lenin Castillo, your opponent, we know he's been 12 rounds with Dimitri Bivol. How much of a threat, how much of a test are you seeing him?
He's a big test, to be honest with you. He's a good fighter. I'm not moving up and picking an easy fight to warm into the division. He's been up there, he's boxed for a world title and give a good account of himself, and went the full 12 rounds, and there was a lot of close rounds in that fight, so I'm fully switched on. I know a win over me puts him right back in the mix and gets him another world title shot, and I want to be a world champion, as I said before, so there's a lot at stake for me, and every fighter must win for me now in my career. So I've had a good camp, made a lot of changes, and I feel good. I feel like I'm a better fighter now than what I was last year.
What are you looking to get out of Saturday? Are you looking to produce the goods and make a statement?
Yeah, a win most importantly, get back to winning ways, and just to show some of the improvements which I feel I've made over the last camp. I do believe there's been some changes in me, and I believe they're for the better, and hopefully we'll get a chance to see some of them. But regardless whether it takes a couple of camps or 3 camps to start seeing the changes, I need to win. That's the most important thing. I need to get back winning.
Just a quick word before you go, because one of those changes has been teaming up with Buddy McGirt. What's he added to your game, and how's it going?
He's a good coach. He's a very good coach. I knew that anyway. His achievements speak for themselves, both as a fighter and as a trainer. But just because he's a good coach for one fighter doesn't mean he'll be the right one for me. But since teaming up with him and working together, I feel we gel pretty well, and I do believe he's improved as a fighter, and just training under him, his knowledge is great, and I do believe he's added something to the game, which is what the whole move was for.
Well, it's good to see you smiling. You're looking pretty relaxed. Best of luck for Saturday.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
And now making his way to the ring for the workout, here is the mandatory WBO challenger fighting out of Montenegro. Please welcome Dylan.
I think he is.
Rasovic.
I think he is, he's
hard hitter from
we've known Callum a long time, and as I said, he can be nervy, he can be quiet.
Dylan Rasovic.
I think he looks very comfortable both at the new weight and with a new trainer, so really good to see. Now, this enigma.
Yes.
This enigma, unbeaten but untested.
And how much of a test could he be for Lawrence Okolie?
Well, on paper it's a huge step up. It's a massive step up to fight somebody who is, really flying as the new world cruiserweight champion. It's a great division, and we've seen Usyk sort of departed and leave a lot of quality in the cruiserweight division. We've got our own Richard Riakporhe making his comeback next week on the Wembley show. There's a lot going on in the cruiserweight world. He's undefeated. He's got he's come with a lot of ambition. He's got a good team around him. So look, it's a big opportunity on a big platform. But Okolie's flying.
It is his first defence, of course, of his WBO title that he won earlier in the year. A great performance from Lawrence Okolie of Glabaki. He seems an improved fighter, doesn't he? He made a lot of changes to his work, and that's probably since being with Shane McGuigan.
You've hit the nail on the head. I think Shane McGuigan's an excellent trainer, and I think that certain fighters really benefit from being with Shane. He's had a few different trainers, Lawrence. He's had a few critics as well along the road. Just next door, he had that big fight with Isaac Chamberlain, and even though he won that, it wasn't really satisfactory. He had that awful sort of mess with Matty Askin at Wembley, and people were saying, look, you know, he's almost like a poor man's Wilder. People were saying that he's so
he came in for a lot of
ungainly.
criticism,
He
didn't he?
He did come in for a lot of criticism, but remember, Johnny Nelson came in for a lot of criticism through very different parts of his career, and look where he ended up. You know, sometimes when you've got a style that isn't that pleasing on the eye, it just takes time. What we know with Lawrence is he's got a great attitude, he's a great personality, he's got power, and now with Shane, he looks like he's got a partnership, and partnerships are key. We were talking about Buddy McGirt and Callum Smith. We've seen Savannah Marshall and Peter Fury make this wonderful bond, this wonderful connection, and I think that if Shane and Lawrence continue, you know, they're going to have some real success. But I see this as a good first defence for Lawrence Okolie. You never know. Now you're on top. You're there to be shot at. It's always the banana skin, the first one, the defence. Sometimes they say it's harder than actually winning it. But, you know, he should come through Saturday night.
Matt, you're coming in. Matt Macklin's coming to join me. Adam, you're off to go and grab a cup of tea. Do you know what, Matt? We have to say this. These guys can't see it, but if they're going to see Adam Smith crawling on all floors across the floor to avoid the camera, oh, you do miss some fun and games, don't they? Behind the scenes. Talk about Lawrence Okolie, though. He does seem to be taking it all in his stride. He's a cool customer, as I just said.
Yeah, and he's gone from strength to strength. Look, Shane McGuigan's a very good trainer, and trainer and fighters are, it's almost like a marriage. Some work, some don't, and that, I think he's really found the right place for him, and his performances have got better. His last one, when he was fighting for the world title, was a career best performance by a mile. And Adam said it there. Look, he was one of these guys that kind of ended up in the deep end. Probably didn't have the grounding or the schooling that someone with a longer amateur pedigree would have had, but because of his ability, he found a way to win, and he's got that power. And he was British European. Commonwealth champion after, I can't remember, was it 11, 12 fights, something like that. So all of a sudden he's fighting for the world title, and he actually, pulls out a career best performance. So one thing about Lawrence Okolie, well, a couple of things. One, he carries serious power in that right hand. And secondly,
but he's not just power.
No, he knows how to win. And that what does that mean? He finds a way to win. You're in there with another guy. He'll have strengths and weaknesses. You've got distance, you've got range, you've got all that sort of stuff. And he finds a way to win against guys who have got way more experience than him, way more pedigree, probably technically better, but he manages to impose his attributes on them. People say, oh, he knows how to win, as if it's a throwaway statement, but that is a real thing.
How impressed were you with his victory over Christoph Mbaki?
Really impressed, really impressed. I thought he was spot on, he nailed it. The right hand against the southpaw, his distance, his timing was brilliant.
Put it in context as well, we just spoke about how his meteoric rise to the top, as it were. It was just his 16th professional fight that he became world champion. Yeah,
and as I was saying, he was British Commonwealth European champion after, I think, 12, 13 fights, and it was almost like, he'd come under a bit of stick, really, because he'd been in a couple of fights where, for want of a better saying, he'd stunk the place out a little bit, and but that can happen as well. Sometimes stars didn't come together. He wasn't great at medium range. There was a lot of clinching and holding, and there was a few, he had points taken away, and people were starting to slag him off a little bit. But nonetheless, we're in the results business, and he was getting results. He was getting the wins, and there's the old saying, isn't there? I'd rather win ugly than lose and look good. So he was getting the wins. He was picking up titles in a very short period of time in terms of how many fights he'd had. And like I say, he's 16-0 now, and he's already British, European, Commonwealth and world champion. So, the results speak for itself.
What are you looking to see from Lawrence on Saturday? Do you think he's going to produce an explosive performance?
Yeah, I do. I think, they say that when fighters become world champion, they go up another 10%, and their confidence and self-belief, he's mission accomplished a little bit, but now he's set new goals, and now he'll look to get his first defence out the way. I think he'll feel really confident and feel good about, being the chief support fight here to Joshua, and also it's his first defence. So, I'm looking forward to seeing him.
What do you think the plan should be for Lawrence Okolie? I mean, the ultimate aim, I guess, for him is still to move up to heavyweight, but he's spoken about he wants to unify the division and then make that decision.
Yeah, I think I don't think there's any panic for him to move up to heavyweight. I'd like to see him probably try and unify the division at cruiserweight. Obviously, Usyk did that. He's now stepped up to heavyweight. I think once you've unified the division, you need a new goal, don't you? Now, if you're down the weights, if you're too small and you can't go up, then maybe that's not an option. But I think because of Okolie's frame, his height, he probably can go up. So, I think there's no panic for that. I'd like to see him make a few defences, maybe look to unify the division. But certainly after that, would like to see him maybe move up.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it out there one more time.
Dylan seeing that on Saturday night.
He's the challenger for the WBO Cruiserweight Championship of the World Saturday Night. Chief support.
I'm sure as well Lawrence Okolie will be having one eye on his manager as well on Saturday night.
Yeah, definitely.
Let's wait for him to come in the ring. Just waiting for David Diamante to do the introductions and for Lawrence Okolie to come out.
Diamante's suited and booted as always.
He is, isn't he? He really suits the occasion, giving us a big smile. It is a brilliant week to be part of, though, Matt.
Oh yeah, of course, and it's great. Isn't it great to be back? And even the build-up, the workouts, the media things, we've been really starved of it with the COVID restrictions. I know we had the bubble, etc., but it hasn't been the same. So it's great to be kind of back to normal now.
And Saturday night, when we've got all those fans in Tottenham, it's going to be quite the occasion.
Oh, can't wait. I mean, we almost get used to this boxing behind closed doors, but it's really been. We've really missed the crowd.
Ladies and gentlemen, we now welcome the defending world
missed it. I think we'll get a few
He's a
goosebumps
2016 Olympian. He's undefeated as a professional.
Right, more questions coming
He's
in.
the former British, former Commonwealth, former European
do you believe
champion,
Usyk has the power to knock out Joshua? That is from Jesheron Christopher.
I think he has the boxing ability. Now, I don't think he carries one punch power to, but it's the shot you don't see. He's very good at draining his opponent, and he's good at hitting you with shots you don't see. So sometimes they're the shots that hurt you more than a big powerful punch. So Usyk, does he carry one punch power? No, he doesn't. But he's very good at draining his fighters, and he catches them with shots that they don't see. Tony Bellew, again, he was drained in the end. He had nothing left, and he hit him with a shot he didn't see and put him over.
Could happen, couldn't it? Who knows?
Yeah, listen, I personally fancy Joshua in this fight. I think Joshua will get the job done, but it's certainly not a foregone. There's a lot of people back here, I'm not going to name anyone, they fancy Usyk.
How do you think Joshua will deal with Usyk being a southpaw? I mean, he's just had the one professional round, hasn't he, with Charles Martin fighting southpaw? Yeah,
but he will have boxed other southpaws in the amateurs, and I know it was only one round, but it was a very good one round against Charles Martin. He's got a very good straight right hand, Anthony Joshua, brilliant lead right hand, and that's a shot that works really well against southpaws. I think that's a shot that will work against Usyk as well. So I think once he finds his range with the jab, his lead hand, gets his feet in the right place, I think the right hand will work well for Joshua.
Good to see Okolie in the ring. He's looking sharp, he's looking relaxed, he's looking chilled.
Yeah, he's world champion. He's enjoying it.
Does that add even more pressure though?
I think it adds confidence. I think he's going to grow into that role as world champion. He's not the main event here on this. He's the chief support, but what a card to be on and what a card to be chief support in. But I think he'll be looking forward to headlining his own card as world champion.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because he's not a fighter that wants to see you achieving world champion. He sort of sit on your laurels. He's constantly looking for what's next, want to improve, want to pick up even more. Yeah,
he's obviously an ambitious guy. He jumped in at the deep end as a professional. And even as an amateur to go to the Olympic Games after having so few fights, but he carried power. I remember Ron McCracken saying to me, he goes, "I'm telling you, I know he looks a little bit ungainly, and technically at times he can look a little bit all over the place, but I'm telling you," he said, "when he hits people with that right hand, it changes things. You can see it in their face."
With the criticism he came under, especially in the early stage of his professional career, do you think that was fair?
I think he was unlucky to be in a couple of fights where they just ended up being stinkers, bad clash of styles, and he did clinch a lot, he did hold a lot, he got points taken off.
It wasn't pretty to watch, was it?
It wasn't pretty to watch. I think he lacked experience. He was, at mid-range, he struggled a little bit, and I think at that fights were clinching, was a lot of clinching was happening. He was doing a lot of holding. There was points taken off. He was in a few ugly fights where, the one fight particular, I think it was Matty Askin, he was probably lucky not to get disqualified. So, yeah, he came under a lot of criticism because of that, but I think he certainly redeemed himself a lot in his last fight.
And I said to Adam that's since teaming up with Shane, he seems to have made huge steps.
It takes a few fights, but when you get a new trainer, you've got to get in sync with each other, and you've got to. It takes a while for it to come off. You can only achieve so much in a short period of time. But certainly these few fights he's had with Shane now, you've seen improvement each time, and his last fight in particular. I think you can, without a doubt, see he's got a great bond with Shane McGuigan. And I do think Shane is a good trainer, and I think he's added a lot to Lawrence Okolie.
What kind of test, though, do you think Prasovic, what will he provide for Lawrence Okolie? Because we have seen, on paper, it looks like it should be a fairly easy night for Lawrence Okolie, but we have seen some upsets.
Yeah, look, it's difficult to see. His opponent's undefeated, pretty unheard of. We can't, he hasn't beaten anyone that we know of, so it's difficult to gauge how good he is. How, is it a padded record? Does he really deserve to be mandatory? Hard to say, but we know Okolie is world champion. He's done it the traditional way. He hasn't been manoeuvred into it. He went British, Commonwealth, European, now world champion. So I think, I probably expect an explosive performance from Okolie. I reckon he'll get the job done early.
It's interesting, isn't it, watching all the fighters in the ring at these public workouts, these media workouts. They're all so different what they want to do.
Yeah, at this stage they've gone through everything. This is really just a little bit of a showcase, a bit of a shakeout, hit the pads, feel good, and look, he's jarred his hand of the.
You don't want to do that, do you? No. You've gone all that way, and then it
got to stay
happens
focused
at the media workout.
No stupid mistakes. We don't want that happening. You see him there. I know. Look, it's the pads, but there's a snappy jab. He's really drilling that right hand in as well. That's his power shot. I think the jab's improved a lot from Okolie.
And his footwork.
Yeah, footwork, balance.
It's interesting what you said, though, isn't it? It is about clicking. It's about finding that relationship, that bond. And once you find it, it's like a secret formula, isn't it? And once you've got it, the world's your oyster, really.
Yeah, listen, certain trainers suit certain fighters. Now, what is the magic ingredient? Well, certain styles. Certain trainers suit certain styles. Certain trainers suit certain personalities as well. And it's just clicking with that guy and building the trust. It takes time as well. You build that relationship.
When do you know?
I think you know after probably a couple of... You've had a good idea in a few weeks, but you don't probably really know until you've done at least a fight together. You'll have what you think, you feel good, you're on the same page, you're trying to work on things, you feel good. But once you've been through that first fight, usually then you should know then.
In terms of a gym, though, he's got some good sparring on tap. You've got the likes of Callum Smith, and of course you've got Dubois that's just been added to the stable as well.
No, and that's key as well. To have in-house sparring. Of course, you get to a certain level and you'll bring sparring in, but it's great if you've got in-house sparring. You bring sparring in, people trying to make a name for themselves. But if you've got in-house sparring with gym mates who you get on with and you've got buddies, you can break the. You can have almost like a technical spar, or you still spar. It's an open spar, but you ease off the power. No one's trying to win rounds. You can work on things, and that's a great bonus if you have that in your own gym.
Isn't it lovely to see them? They look like they're just having fun in there. Like they almost seem like two mates.
Yeah, well, I think they are mates, and I think the boxer-trainer relationships that work really well. You do have that. It goes beyond a business relationship. They genuinely look like good friends. Boxing's a pretty brutal thing you've got to go through, and to build that relationship and have trust with a guy, it's almost impossible not to like each other. If you have a journey and you share some of the best nights of your life, and that'll be some of the best nights for Shane as well as a trainer, because he's on his journey too, and you help each other's success. So you can't not become good friends.
What do you think the plan should be for Okolie?
I think, look, on Saturday night, or is in his career moving forward? I think try and make a few successful defences, try and look to unify the division, and see where he goes after that.
Who would you like to see him in with? I've put you on the spot now, haven't I?
Yeah.
I can see that face. I know that Matt Macklin face.
I'm not sure. I mean, you know, Bradis maybe. Marius Bradis, would like to see that fight. That'd be a good fight. I think that's one of the bigger names in the division.
That's been put out there, isn't it?
It's not the biggest. So, yeah, definitely Bradis. Marius Bradis. Gassiev maybe, unless he's up at heavyweight now. 2 big punchers. That'd be explosive.
So what's your prediction on Saturday night? What can you see Okolie doing? Do you think it'll go a few rounds, or do you think he's going to come out and try and just produce the goods?
I think it's going to be an early finish. I think Okolie's going to come out, find his distance with that jab, which you can see him working on on the pads with Shane, and I think he's going to get this job done fairly quickly. You can see he looks to have that confidence of someone that's become world champion now.
That's always been there, though. He's got ultimate belief in himself, hasn't he? Do you remember when the Glovacki fight first fell through due to COVID reasons? It didn't bother him, did it? He took it all in his stride and was just basically like, yeah, next.
Yeah, well, one thing he's got is self-belief, and he's always been a cool, calm and collected customer, really. So he's got a lot of self-belief, as we say, and I think he's one of those who knows that just worry about control the controllables, and don't get too stressed out about things that you've got no control of, which is, a great attitude, quite a logical way of looking at things. But it's amazing how many people don't do that.
Yeah. He's got a good backing behind him as well in terms of Anthony Joshua and 258 management. Yeah,
I mean, apart from a couple of performances where he was criticised because they were like, there was a lot of clinching and they were bad fights to watch, weren't they? And he come under a lot of stick because there was a lot of holding. But that aside, if you just look at his resume and what he's won in the amount of time he's won it in, it's been it's been an unbelievable journey for him, really. And yeah, Shane McGuigan training him, 258 managing him, Anthony Joshua's crowd, and Eddie Hearn. He couldn't be better set up.
And he'll be looking to see a big performance from his manager on Saturday night. In terms
definitely.
of Anthony Joshua,
he'll want to get the ball rolling, won't he, for Team Joshua, Team 258, and you walk into the dressing room, people cheer. It just sets the ball rolling.
Ladies and gentlemen, get your hands together out here for the reigning, defending, undefeated WBO Cruiserweight Champion of the World from Hackney, London, the Sauce, Lawrence Okolie.
and we're just going to
Making
try
his
and
main
grab
defense
a
on
word
Saturday
with
night in
Lawrence
the chief
Okolie.
support of our huge blockbuster night of fights.
Matt, I'm just going to grab you and come over here. No smiles.
You guys face me.
No smiles to the camera there. Literally no smiles at all. David Diamante's giving the big grin. None from Lawrence Okolie, but I'm sure inside he's just, like I say, a cool customer, isn't he?
Yeah, very much so. He's used to this now. He's boxed on so many big cards.
That's the thing. He is used to the big stage.
Very experienced, but only 16 fights. But like I say, he's won everything now. Job done. World champion, British Commonwealth, European, and he's boxed on many pay-per-view events. So this is just another big fight for him. One of many that he's had in his career already.
Yeah, but still 16 pro fights. He's still got a long way to go.
Yeah, a long way to go, and that's quite exciting when you think about that. Like, what can he go on to achieve? I mean, if he can, like we said, the Marius Bradis fight, that'd be amazing if that fight happened. I think, I think people would be divided on who they would think would win that. Bradis more experienced, but Okolie's got that power.
How do you think it would go? You're not giving me anything.
No,
like
maybe not just yet. Bradis is very experienced, but listen, Okolie, he's a danger man in the division. He carries serious power, and I wouldn't write him off in that fight. That's for sure.
Well, we were hoping to speak to Lawrence Okolie. I don't know where he's disappeared off to. Perhaps he doesn't want to speak to us, Matt. We've been shunned. I'm sure that's not the case at all. No, apparently he is going to come in. He's just gone round a different route. Here he comes up now.
Here he is.
Good to see you, Lawrence.
I'm out.
Come in.
I'm not sure.
You went round a different route. We thought you.
Come straight in. No one. Sorry.
We thought you just decided not to speak to us.
No, impossible. I love speaking to you.
That's good to hear. Back on the pay-per-view card. How good is it?
No, it's good. I thought best. Obviously, even coming out, I was like, oh yeah, this is what it's like, you know, public workout with a few people in here, so it's good, it's exciting, big time boxing.
Absolutely, and it's your first events of your WBO title. How are you feeling? What are you looking to achieve on Saturday night?
Yeah, I feel normal, like, do you know what I mean? I've just taken it like another fight, just gonna go in there, you know, defend some shots, land some big shots myself, and hopefully get it done inside the distance.
Your opponent, Dylan Prasovic, is unbeaten. What else do you know about him?
You know, he's a really fast guy, good puncher, confident, you know, believes in himself. So yeah, so should make for a good fight.
Are you looking to make a statement on Saturday?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, my statement, I'm looking to just like box well. Do you know what I mean? And hopefully that creates a statement. I'm not going to go rushing looking for a KO. I just believe, you know, with boxing IQ and, you know, setting stuff up, I'll be able to land a shot and, you know, get rid of my opponent.
Matt and I were just talking about your relationship with Shane McGuigan. Is this your 4th or 5th fight with Shane now? And you seem to be really settling in with him.
Yeah, he's good. Like, he's a funny guy as well, and he understands how I am as a boxer. Like, I really.
That comes across as well, you know.
Yeah, so I try not to take stuff too seriously. Of course, I train hard and all that other stuff, but when it's time to fight, if you put too much pressure on yourself, you know, 70, 60,000 people, wherever it is, or, you know, come to interview you, it just gets not fun. So I'm just here trying to enjoy myself.
Talking of that, 60,000 we're expecting at Tottenham Hotspur on Saturday night. Just how good will it be to fight in front of that crowd?
I have to find out afterwards. Afterwards, we have to answer that. Right now, I think it's going to be amazing. But, you know, I find it hard to, as I'm doing it, take it in, if that makes sense. So on the day, I'll be very focused on what shots I'm going to start the fight with. I see my opponent there, what shot I'm going to stop him with, you know, whatever. So, but once the fight's done and, you know, I land the shot and I hear the crowd scream, then I can enjoy it.
It is going to be a cracking atmosphere. Before I let you go, we just saw there your manager, Anthony Joshua, arrive. Got to get a quick word on how you think he'll do on Saturday and what are you expecting? Just how tough a test is Usyk for him, do you think?
Yeah, I'm expecting him to surprise everyone with how good a boxer AJ is. Everyone believes Usyk is this master genius, which, you know, you've got to give him credit, he is. But I think it's all about tactics, and AJ will get his tactics right on the night. And if those tactics don't work, he's also 6'6" heavyweight, so he's got another chance of winning by KO.
Prediction?
Joshua in the mid to late rounds, I think.
Good. Right, look forward to seeing you on Saturday. Best of luck.
At this time, please let's go ahead and welcome the challenger to the ring. He's a southpaw. He's the 2012 Olympic gold medalist, fighting out of Kiev, Ukraine. Ladies and gentlemen, hailed as one of the best cruiserweights of all time. He's the former undisputed cruiserweight champion of the world, now campaigning at the heavyweight ranks. Please welcome Oleksandr Usyk.
He's here, Johnny.
Yes.
Oleksandr Usyk is stepping in the ring.
You know, Anna, being at ringside, I mean, just down the side here, people in the know. I don't think there's anybody here that said this is going to be an easy fight. There's so many people say this could be a banana skin, rightfully so. But it looks in decent shape so far.
He always provides the fans, doesn't he?
It's like he's
so relaxed.
He's entertaining.
Yes.
Yeah, like you do with a child. You'd entertain a child. To me, I think there's a lot more to him. Yeah, there's a lot more to him than just this. And you can tell in a press conference when he meets a fighter, other fighters, his opponent, he doesn't take what they're doing very seriously. He knows what he's got to do.
He is, let's just remind ourselves, I mean, he's so skillful, pound for pound star, Oleksandr Usyk, isn't he? Unbeaten in 18 professional fights. This is just his 3rd professional fight at heavyweight, though. AJ said that he thinks he's jumping in at the deep end. Do you think that's the case?
Yeah, I do, yeah. But you've also got to understand that the two introductions against Witherspoon and Chisora at heavyweight, AJ boxes nothing like those guys, so therefore that might be part of the reason why he's probably underwhelmed stepping up to heavyweight. So we've got to understand that. Maybe AJ would be better off rushing him jumping on him straight away. So he feels that heavyweight power, speed. But remember, he's got 12 rounds to do that in.
Do you think he will do that? Because
No.
that's a risky game plan for Anthony Joshua to do that.
Well, if he's going to do that, it's got to be the second half of the fight. The first half of the fight, he's got to be smart, be assertive, let Usyk know he's in with a big punching heavyweight that can also be light on his feet. Don't try to match him for boxing technique. And I'm not saying, you know, this guy's outstanding, don't ever try and outbox him, because he can't do that. AJ's got to do what he's trained to do and not be hustled out of his game plan.
We know you've been there, you were cruiserweight, you moved up to heavyweight. Tactically, how does that change things for you?
If I'm honest, you know, I actually loved boxing heavyweights. You know, most cruiserweights can beat most heavyweights up to a certain level. It's when you get to the top 10, you're giving away height, reach, weight, and punch power. That's when you've got a problem. And so Usyk will be forever sparring with heavyweights anyway, especially now. And so people are talking about the weight, people are talking about the size and getting with the heavyweight. It's something he'll be doing anyway. So he'll just be a little faster, a little busier, more unorthodox. It's more fun fighting somebody that might be a little bit slower than you than actually fighting someone that can match you in speed.
Got some questions coming in. Keep them coming in to us. George2776 says, what chance does Usyk have against all the other top 10 heavyweights? How well do you think he will perform against the likes of White or Wilder? That's an interesting one.
So now it's sort of styles make fights, and as I said, against Witherspoon, against Chisora, he got him with 2 lumps that would really make him fight for his food, should I say. Now he's in with someone that's going to box fight him. That would suit him better. He'd actually perform better in this fight than he would against Sosa. I know it sounds a bit odd. How would he perform against the other top heavyweights? Again, if you're talking about your Wilders, you're talking about your Furies, you know, he's got that boxing IQ. But then against your Dylan Whites, he's got to be smart with them. He's got to try and you can't try and out-muscle them. You can out-box them, but don't try and out-muscle them, because they'll have them for dinner.
We last saw Usyk against Chisora, didn't we? What adjustments do you think he'll have to make for Anthony Joshua? Because they're 2 very, very different fighters.
As I said, I think he'd be comfortable, he'd be more at home fighting Anthony Joshua than he would against Derek Chisora, because he's actually with somebody that will give him space to breathe, will give him space to think, will not put the pressure on him. So don't be hustled. Don't be hustled by what you see. You know, you see a court gesture, you know, distracting you from the real McCoy.
He's an entertainer, isn't he? He's so good at this stuff. But that's not just entertainment, that's the hand-eye coordination. He does a lot of this stuff.
Yeah, but sometimes you try and play the fool to catch the wise, and so you'll see this guy's doing his hand-eye
I'd like to see you try doing that.
What? I can do it with knives. These are things that he's... remember that southpaw style? It's a heartbreaker. And if you're a good
how will AJ deal with that, do you think?
I don't think you like southpaws, but you've got to deal with what comes into you. Charles Martin was the only southpaw what I can remember that he's had to deal with.
That is right,
and he got rid of him. But I asked him. He said he's like southpaws. You don't have to love him. So he knows what's in front of him. And he's in with a confident guy, a guy that's confident to fight.
Which makes him a dangerous fighter.
Yes, it does. He's very dangerous. He's very matter of fact. He's come over with a team. You know, and if you're coming over and you're not confident within yourself and what you're going to achieve in the ring, you don't bring that many people over to see your downfall. This guy expects to win. And how many fighters, you know, comparing to the other AJ opponents that have tried to get his titles off him, you know, they'll talk the big talk. They make the big noise, but this guy oozes confidence and self-belief.
And he's also got Papachenko back in his corner as well.
He's got a good team with him, and so again, he's put the work in.
What do we learn from that then, Johnny? That looks like that's going to be it.
He's not shown us anything we haven't seen before.
We didn't expect that though, did we?
Yeah, and I'm quite sure the same will
Ladies
be
and
with
gentlemen, I know
AJ.
you can do better than that. Let's make some noise out here. It's the challenger of Saturday night. He's changing history. One of the best cruiserweights of all time. Now fighting in the heavyweight ranks Saturday night, the main event, Oleksandr Usyk.
Very relaxed, very confident, John, we often say a happy fighter is a dangerous fighter, don't we?
And he's a very dangerous fighter. He's the kind of guy that would fight for fun, and this is what he lives for. His style of fight, again, there's not many fighters that fight like him, so therefore that's what makes him dangerous. And here he comes.
Here he comes.
How you doing, my friend? Right.
Oleksandr, good to see you. You've waited a long time for this fight. What are you expecting and how's training been?
Типа как мой тренировочный лагерь?
Да, ждал долгое время этого боя, как прошла тренировочный лагерь.
Да, очень хороший мой тренировочный лагерь, очень долгие, тяжелые, но очень любимый для меня.
It was very long, very hard, but it was most lovely for me. For him, not for me.
Covers that. We last saw you against Derek Chisora. What adjustments are you making for Anthony Joshua?
Мы видели тебя с Чесорой, какие изменения, какие подходы изменил для Джошуа.
Это совсем другой боксер. Мы сделали с тренерами очень огромную работу, о которой я сейчас не скажу.
It is a completely different fighter. We can't compare it. We did a lot of work with the trainers, but I'm not going to tell you right now.
I don't know if you're going to tell me this either. Where do you see Anthony Joshua's weaknesses?
Где ты видишь его слабости? Джошуа слабости.
Он же будет смотреть, и он узнает, о чем я могу говорить. Это все тренер должен смотреть и мне говорить.
He's going to be watching right now. How can I tell? No, I'm not going to tell. But this is my trainer, is the one who's supposed to watch it and tell me what to do in the ring.
And again, I'll ask you about your game plan. You're not going to give me anything away, but have you thought what happens if Anthony Joshua comes out and tries to box?
Я тебя не буду спрашивать твой план, что ты будешь делать, а что будет случиться, если Антони Джошуа выйдет и начнет с собой боксировать?
А он что-то другое может еще делать? Он, наверное, и будет со мной боксировать?
Can he do something different instead of a boxing with me?
Yes, he can. He could try and knock you out.
Он может попробовать тебя нокаутировать, а не боксировать.
Все, что он желает, пускай он делает, а я буду делать то, что я буду делать.
Everything what he wants, he can do it. I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do.
There's been a lot of talk about the difference in size between yourself and Anthony Joshua. You're giving away height, reach, and size. Does that bother you? Is that going to be an issue? Do you think?
Много было разговоров по поводу размера, что он больше, что меньше, и как-то это тебя в чем-то.
Так всю жизнь было. Кто-то был меньше, кто-то был больше. Люди, которые об этом говорят, они не до конца понимают, что происходит. Меня это не беспокоит.
It's all life about it. Everybody talks who is a bigger, who is a smaller, and just nothing bothers me.
You seem to be very happy. You seem to be enjoying the fight week when you're over here. At what moment does it become game time? When does the mask come off?
Ты выглядишь очень расслабленный, веселый, тебе все нравится. Когда приходит время, что ты уже понимаешь, что все шутки в сторону?
Так никаких шуток нету, это мой образ каждодневный. Просто в субботу я уже буду более настраиваться на поединок, а так, что мне грустить, если у меня все замечательно в жизни, все, слава Богу.
Thanks to God, everything what's going on in my life, everything is good. It's not what I am happy or it's my life, the way I live. And only on Saturday night, I'm going to be more, maybe putting together myself.
Well, it's good to see you. I know Johnny Nelson's jealous of the boxing in the ring. He's been impressed with the skills, wanted to get involved.
Yes, slowly but surely. Just one question. Chaz Witherspoon, Derek Chisora. At what point do you feel a fully fledged heavyweight? Are you there yet? Are you at the point where you're happy with yourself as a heavyweight?
Он говорит, ты уже 2 прошел с Чесорой, Уидерспуном. Ты доволен то, что ты в тяжах?
Я доволен то, что я буду боксировать с Энтони.
I am happy about what I'm going to be fighting with Anthony on Saturday.
It's done. You're not going to get anything out.
No, that's it. Best of luck on Saturday.
Thank you.
Looking forward to the rest of the week. Good to see you.
Thanks very much.
We knew that was going to happen, Johnny. We can only but try. We can only but try. We're never going to get anything.
My point was what I was trying to make was the fact that, I'm teasing Eddie, My point that I was trying to make was he's boxed Chiaz, he's boxed Derek, and even after the Chisora fight, he didn't seem happy. He was frustrated with himself.
Yeah.
At what point does he think this will be the night where he thinks, right, I've introduced myself as a heavyweight? Because I'm quite sure he's underwhelmed himself in regards to his performance as that heavyweight. Would this be the night? Would Anthony Joshua be that opponent that brings the best out of him?
Do you know when we're going to find out that answer, Johnny? I think we'll find out afterwards.
No matter what, we are going to find out what kind of heavyweight he's going to be after this fight. Win or lose, we'll find out whether or not that's where he should be, or there's room for growth, or eventually he's going to be the heir apparent.
Yeah, well, we're waiting for Anthony Joshua. I believe he is here. He's waiting in the wings. It's probably all games, isn't it, Johnny? It's all part of the fun. Make someone wait.
You know what? I love fight week, and we're enjoying the circus. For these guys, they've done nothing but think about each other, dream about each other, eat, prepare for this, and they're probably at this point sick of the sight of each other. So come Saturday night, that's when it all comes out.
Do you think Anthony Joshua is ranking this as his toughest test today?
Rob McCracken knows boxing, and if Anthony Joshua isn't thinking that, Rob McCracken is. So no matter what is hurt you hear from AJ or Rob, they know this is that fight. This is that fight that all the heavyweight fights he's had come to fight nights like this, where all his experiences and the wisdom's got to come to fruition. This is the night, Saturday night.
Because we said this earlier, Usyk's in his prime, he's 34, whereas the likes of Pulev was 40, Klitschko 42, I believe, when you fought him.
Yeah, and that's why I need to get across to the public that they need to understand that this is, AJ's toughest fight today. He might make an easy job of it, but on paper, I'm telling you now, he's in with the most dangerous opponent in regards to knocking him off his mantle than he can expect.
And now, ladies and gentlemen,
and that's not just dangerous because of his skills, that's also because of how clever he is, the mental side of things, how much he can wear you down.
Fighting out of Watford, England, please welcome the reigning, defending, unified heavyweight champion of the world, AJ Anthony Joshua.
He looks trim, Johnny. Very, very streamlined.
It is, and I like that. He looks slim because he knows he's gonna have his ring stamina when he's fighting a guy like this. He's going to be a gnat. He's going to be somebody that's going to make him work. And so he knows he can't afford to have lulls in the fight where you get in the second wind and your pace drops for 2 or 3 rounds. He needs to be in that position.
I think we forget as well with Anthony Joshua, he's still a work in progress, right? I think everyone just assumes that he's the finished article, and that is not, but he has most definitely made improvements, in particular in his last couple of fights. The rematch with Ruiz, the last fight against Pulev, he proved he can really box.
Well, let's remember, he's been boxing since the age of 18. And he's had to cram it all into, he's 31 years old now, 32. He's had to cram it in those 13 years he's been boxing. I don't mean boxing as an amateur and having his first fight at 18. He started boxing at 18. So that pedigree, that ingrained pedigree, that ingrained boxing, he's not like Usyk, who's probably been doing this from being a boy. And so it's part of his DNA. So, and what AJ has achieved in this space of time is mad. It's unbelievable. So now this is his acid test. He's up against somebody that boxing is ingrained in him. And so if you're doubting AJ's legitimacy, this fight will tell you whether or not you should doubt him or not.
But like I said, we did see different sides to Anthony Joshua's game, especially in the Pulev and the Ruiz rematch. What version of AJ do you think we'll see on Saturday?
I think he'll listen to instructions to a T. I think he'll draw on all his experience, and there won't be any mistakes. He knows he can't afford any mistakes, and he's got to go in there mentally strong, physically strong, emotionally strong, and have all of that belief as well. There's no room for error. There's no room to say, I'm learning. This is it. This is the night.
Since that Ruiz loss, do you feel like his confidence is fully back?
Yeah. But it's like falling off a horse. Once you've fallen off, you've done it. Ouch, that hurt. Now get back on it again. Now that's happened, and that O's gone. The pressure's off him. He can just get on with fight and think, right, you know what? I'll take the stick. Now I've come back. Look what I've done.
like it is. Is that a
Ladies and gentlemen, once again, the reigning,
He wants to do as little. You know these. You want to do as little as possible.
You don't want to give anything away.
Nothing. So he's saying, I ain't doing nothing. You're contracted to do this.
Joshua.
That's it.
Saturday night main event.
That's a lot, Johnny.
Listen.
Is it all part of the game as well? If say like Usyk doesn't give us much, he'll give us even less.
Yeah, but fighters don't like doing this. They don't like. I remember, boxing abroad, they make you do these things. You think, I really don't want to do it, but I'll show up. You do as little as possible, just to give the fans something, just to give the media something, just to remind everybody what they've got to look forward to. What they've got to look forward to.
Here he comes. Oh, this is lovely to see.
Yeah, this young man here, he's known him since he was about 4 years old. So
cheers, mate.
That's nice. That's big man. You all right? You good?
Hello.
How are you?
We've got 2 for the price of 1.
Are you all right?
This is young Frank.
Sweet, yeah.
Who have we got here?
Frankie Hayes.
Hello, Frankie. Nice to see
Repton
you.
Boxing Club.
New manager?
I'll be managing him.
The manager.
Oh, good
But
to
I've
see.
known him for years. He's been around the boxing circuit from York Hall days. How old are you now?
I'm 12.
12. So you must have been about when you were like 6 years old, 5 years old. His mum does a great job with him.
So fight week time. How you feeling?
Well, I look at it as like camp. Fight week can be a week where you can lose yourself a bit. Obviously, you've got to taper down, you've got media commitments, but for me, it's just another day in camp, really. So, cool.
All the hard work's done.
Yeah, this is just like us sitting down outside on them stools having a chat about what it's like to
Chewing
live in
the fat.
Yorkshire.
It's good though, isn't it? Full fight weeks back, full activities. On Saturday night, £60,000 are going to be in Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. It's going to be a pretty special night.
Yeah, I like to. I've worked out already today, so I don't want to go out there and start sweating and over.
We didn't see much.
Yeah, I know. I don't want to go out there and overwork myself. I'd rather come out here and mingle with the people. Do you know what I mean? That's what I'd love to do on a public workout. Maybe like a public meet and greet rather than a workout.
You're looking very streamlined. Very
Why do
trim.
people think that?
Because you look it. You do. You look very well. Very streamlined.
Thank you very much.
Did you see anything of Usyk? Or were you interested?
Do you know what? I wanted to use tennis balls to be fair, but he'd gone.
See, I said he
You
could
said
do watermelons. You see?
Yeah. But no, he's here to fight at the end of the day. It'll come and go. So the public workout doesn't really show much.
What have you been doing different in camp though?
No pads, heavy bag work. A lot of heavy bag, a lot of sparring. So not really the mix. Old school, Rocky Marciano stuff. You know what I mean?
Like it. We've been speaking about, Tony Bellew said to us a while ago about when he fought him, the mental pressure that he put on him and how draining that was for him. Have you thought about that and how would you deal with that?
I'm quite physically conditioned and mentally conditioned, so hand in hand I should be fine. Big occasion, big pressure. Bellew was at a different stage in his career as well when he took the fight, you know. I'm at a different stage in my career, so what it means to me is different from what it means to Bellew. Bellew put up a really good fight, and he comes short at the end of the day, and it happens in boxing. But for me personally, I'm going to try and do everything to reverse what happened to Bellew and make it go in my favour, because I feel like I've got nothing else if I don't get this win. So for me, this is like, it's not the end of the road, it's the start of a new chapter.
How does Rob rate Usyk?
You'd have to ask Rob. I don't want to speak for him, but you'd have to ask Rob. Rob focuses on me, to be fair. That's the truth. Rob's more focused on what my abilities are. There is no opponent. I'm my biggest opponent. If I do what I do, I can do what I need to do against anyone on my day.
We've seen some improvements though, didn't we, in the last couple of fights? Rui's rematch, Pulev, we saw the sort of more boxing side to your game. What version do you think we're going to get of you on Saturday night?
I've always been a boxer, always been a boxer fighter, but ultimately there is no real strategy apart from winning. You know where I'm coming from?
Yeah.
I'm in there with a goal in my mind is to either hurt you or beat you till I get the win. So whether it's like the right hand, whether it's the uppercut, whether it's the jab, whatever the strategy is, as long as it's leading to a win, I could box on the back foot, I could box on the front foot. There's no real like strategy except for winning.
What is the strategy? What is the game plan? Should I ask you?
Just
You're going to tell me more?
Frankie, what's the game plan, champ?
To win all the time. You need to win, and that's how you succeed.
Simple as, isn't it?
You know, this is it's going to be the
You could do my job.
And this young man's all of a sudden going to be stood in this position. You say, remember when he was stood there, it's a great experience, but it's good of you to let him enjoy the ride.
Yeah, definitely. The next coming champions, Repton. I'm from Finchley. I box amongst all these the youth in my gym. I'm around these kids all the time training, so I know what it means to them as well. So good luck with yourself. Wishing you well, champ.
Brilliant to see, and you'll be there, I imagine, on Saturday night. Yeah. Good to see. Best of luck, Anthony. Thank you for talking to us.
Nice
we'll see you throughout the week. Nice to meet you.
And God bless.
See you later, man.
See you later.
Thank you very much.
That's the best one. Yeah, I love that.
You know what? Brendan used to take us everywhere.
Yeah.
And he said, I want you to experience what we experience. So when you get older, and it's your chance, it's no big deal for you. You know that for that young man there.
He's got no better mentor, is he, than really Anthony Joshua?
And I know he's probably known him since he was 4 years old. So by the time, I think some guys find calm at this point. This way he's able to relax and take his mind off what's looming come Saturday night. And usually with these events, he's usually the last person that leaves after a weigh-in, signing autographs and seeing everybody. So he feels comfortable on it.
He's serious, isn't he? Means business this week.
He has to.
Yeah.
He has to. There's no nonsense there. And regardless of what he does or doesn't tell us, he has to make sure he gets everything right, gets his act together. He's not going to speak to Rob, and you can't go and grab Rob here. Rob's he's not really a talker, but
no, down there.
But let me see if I can grab his eye. Yeah, we'll get him. Can we get him, Frankie? Tell Rob. He's hiding.
If anyone can get him, Frankie can. He'll try it. We are trying to get Rob McCracken to come over. He's hiding. I don't know if you can see.
He's coming.
In the corner of the ring. We might get him.
We've got him.
Nothing like the persuasion of a child.
This is the true power behind the throne. If you see the respect these two have for each other, it's mad. And so I see you trying to hide.
It's not for me to see then.
You can't escape, Rob.
What about it?
We sent Frankie over to get you, and we thought, then you can't say no, can you?
No, not to the kids.
How are you feeling? How have you felt camp has gone?
Yeah, good. Gone well. Camp's gone well. Trained well, so he's in good shape. Really good.
I looked at. I think people from outside of boxing don't realise how much of a tick box this is. This is, in my opinion, I'd say it's probably one of the best opponents he's boxed at heavyweight. What would you think?
I agree. He's one of the very best he's boxed. Super talented. They both won gold in London. Usyk's gone on and become unified, undisputed at cruiserweight. Big Josh has done the same, unified heavyweight champion. And it's the obvious fight, obviously. Everybody's talking about, the British fight, Big Josh and Tyson, but in the meantime, he's the heavyweight champ. You've got to fight all comers, and that's his mindset. There's never a discussion with Big Josh about, let's work. It just doesn't exist. It's like, who's next? Yeah, and then let's work at it. Let's get a plan together. That's how his mind works. He's a real fighter.
I'm going to ask you, and you probably won't give me much at all, Rob, and that's fair enough if you don't, but what version do you think we'll see of Anthony Joshua on Saturday night? What's the game plan going to be? I mean, you're not going to give me the full game plan, but we've seen so many different sides to him, haven't we? And lately, more of the boxing side of Anthony Joshua.
Yeah, no, Usyk's a highly rated, extremely good fighter. Has had some really good wins in his career. And Josh knows it's a real challenge for him, but it's one he's looking forward to. It's one he wanted to go through with. He wanted to get on with it. He wanted to beat the best that's out there, the best contender available, and that's how he operates, and that's typical Anthony Joshua, and that's why he's always in the big fights, and he'll deliver again Saturday night. It'll be a great fight.
How would you rate him amongst the top 10? Your personal opinion?
Yeah, I mean, he's obviously not long moved up from cruiserweight to heavyweight, so that you've got to adjust at the weight and stuff. But we've seen it in the past with other fighters who've adjusted perfectly well, and most haven't. But you've got the speed element, and the mobility and stuff. But Josh is pretty experienced now. He's in most styles. Obviously, this is a new style on Saturday night. It's one he's looking forward to. It's one he's trained hard for. He's had really good sparring partners who've done the similar things and the same things that Usyk does in a boxing ring. So, yeah, it's just going to be a great fight. It's heavyweight world title.
He looks in good shape as well. He seems surprised when people say, well, we said to him, didn't we? He said he looked in good shape, he looked trim. He said, well, everyone seems to be saying that. Like he doesn't notice it, but he does.
Yeah, because he's trained hard, and Johnny will tell you it's hard work. But he's looking forward to it. The key with professional boxing is that you look forward to your fight and you want to show everybody how good you are. Not, dread it. You got to look forward to it, and that's the mindset he's got. That's the way he is, and it's going to be a brilliant night Saturday night. It's going to be a fantastic fight between two great fighters, and Big Josh will deliver.
Very much looking forward to
let
it.
him go, they've all run off.
Yeah. Thanks for your time.
Rob,
Rob.
okay.
Cheers, thanks.
Nice one, mate. God bless.
Good to see you. We got him.
You know what? I like him because he's the one guy, and it's so nice because most people want to be in front of the spotlight, playing the camera.
Yeah.
He doesn't, and that's why fighters respect him, because he thinks, no, this is my job. I'm not bothered by any of that stuff. And so he'll say how it is. He can't lie. You know, he'll either avoid answering to certain questions, he'll not lie. So therefore, if you ask him a question, you're going to get the truth. And his truth is, you know, he understands this is a very good, dangerous fighter. But he also says his fighter relishes these kind of challenges.
Absolutely. I mean, has your opinion changed from what you've seen tonight? We didn't see a great deal, but...
No, my opinion is exactly the same. I think Anthony Joshua gets the win, but I think it's going to be a hard-fought win. My opinion is that the public don't realise how good Oleksandr Usyk is, and win or lose, he'll never get the credit he deserves for whatever happens.
It's going to be an interesting week, isn't it? Lots of activities coming your way. Don't forget, we've got the press conference on Thursday, undercard and main event. Then, of course, the live weigh-in on Friday, and then Saturday night. Fight night, 60,000 fans at Tottenham.
I want them seen together. I want them seen stood together at the weigh-in. I don't know how much you can read into that, but
what do you think they'll be, like a stone in it?
Yeah. I think about stone and a half in it. That's what I think. If Usyk comes in over 16 stone, I think bad move. He looked a bit chunky and solid up top, legs look skinny, so I just want to see what he's going to come in at.
Can you read too much into that, though?
Not at all, not for a cruiserweight coming in. He's got the skill, but I just think if you try and match a heavyweight for weight, you know, it takes time to go into these things, but you then, another aspect of your talent slips away, your speed, your mobility, your stamina. So Usyk's not an idiot, but he's used to success. Now he's in the lion's den, and he is the star of the show. So therefore, it's how your mindset runs. And yes, he's used to boxing in everybody else's backyard, but this is a different backyard, and so it'll be interesting.
It is interesting, but also both fighters are very respectful of each other. I don't think this week we're necessarily going to see the back and forth, are we? We're not going to see that kind of thing.
No, not at all. Not at all. These guys are very respectful. You don't have to be like that. Yes, it sells tickets, it puts bums on seats, but with these two, you get what you expect. You're going to get a good fight, respectful fight, two guys out that probably like each other. And I'll tell you now, AJ beats him. AJ will probably use him as one of his chief sparring partners in every fight coming on, because that's the sort of guy you learn a hell of a lot from, and vice versa, depends on how each other deals with a loss.
He's still here, still working the room, doing all his media commitments, and he will be the last one to leave, won't he?
He'll be the last man standing, as per usual.
It's good to see. Don't forget, join us Saturday night. It's going to be absolutely cracking. Heavyweight showdown between Anthony Joshua and Oleksandr Usyk. The only way to book it is on Sky Sports box office, so make sure you join us. Thursday press conference, join us for that. Friday the weigh-in, and then the big one on Saturday. We shall see you then.
Some days are rough, some days are tough.